walk on through. The M762 is gonna find 3 kills, pistol in hand. It's gonna be a quad in the round for Emergent.
Peeking into him. He'll take down Twist. He'll take down Defiance as well. He's going for a third and he'll get it.
Triple kill to answer, and then Limbo and Dom will pick up some kills, but Braxton with the 4K, he's on for the
Heal on Iski. What a flick, but he gets tired. And the Jaeger looks the wrong way.
It felt like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks ago that Season 4 of SCS just started. But here we are. We've all grown so much over time, from the casters to the host to the creative behind the scenes. Everybody has all led up until today. The amazingness that we're going to see in the grand finals for SCS Season 4. I'm your host, Max Tompkins, and we have two amazing casters here to show us and guide us through the grand finals as well. Welcome, Brian Schubert, and of course we have Billy Breton over here as well. Welcome, Chief and Panda. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful, Max. Thank you so much. That lovely intro, that hype video for me. Everybody who's made this league amazing. We all love you here. 12 weeks has been far too long, but you guys are great.
I mean, it feels like we started an age ago, and literally, it was last year when we started. We're coming into it's been blood, sweat, and tears poured into the league. The players have been through the absolute ringer, and coming out the end of it, it's Pryde and Down2Earth, formerly in Control Nation, a team that we did expect to be sitting, this deep in the playoffs, and then another team who we weren't sure if they would be able to go the distance. And well, here they are, Pryde stepping up, sort of this unexpected quantity, so they're definitely gearing up to give us a hell of a series to round things out.
And Panda, you do mention that we were expecting maybe to see Down2Earth at least come pretty far into the bracket, maybe even the grand finals too, but Pryde was kind of a sleeper pick for a lot of teams. Even the predictions, I believe, were mostly not in the favor of Pryde. But Chief, how did Pryde get all the way to the grand finals, beating out so many other decorated teams?
So Pryde basically sowed their spot in the grand final, not the grand finals, but the playoffs already. We knew that they were going to be a roster from the top 6. It was just where they were going to sit. But they found themselves in the first round of postseason going against FrogChamp. That was actually their biggest challenge. That took them 3 maps to achieve it. But on Cafe, they ended up 7-2ing their opponents of FrogChamp, and that moved them over to the old Lycus Empire roster, then known as Team 99. It was a quick battle for them. Cafe was the longest, going into overtime, 8-10-8. But finally, we would see Pryde win 7-5 on Villa, moving them and confirming them here in postseason.
Ooh, it's getting kind of scary. Panda, looking down below, you're one of the 3 that says that Pryde's going to win it all right here in SCS Season 4. Something I've also noticed is that you're also in the minority there. Talk to us about Pryde. Why do you think they're going to be up there and you're 25%?
I mean, 25% is probably because I missed a few weeks throughout the season. I just may have forgotten that. But the reason I am backing Pryde to go the full distance here, I'm not saying it's going to be a 3-0. It is not going to be an easy feat whatsoever. It is, I would have to anticipate, go to a very, very deep overtime on at least 1 or 2 maps, and probably to a 5th map. But Pryde, the last match of a regulation season was an absolute curb stomp dealt to them by Team 99. They may have been saving some strats. In fact, we're pretty sure they were. They then go into the first round of playoffs. They take the win against FrogChamp in a 3-map best of 3. They then go in facing up against a team that literally just, kicked their teeth in a couple of days beforehand and 2-0 them. 8-10, 5-7, absolutely handily took that win against Team 99. And I mean, it has been a playoff of, playoff series of unexpected results. Emergence knocked out Wichita Wolves. They then took Down2Earth to a very lengthy overtime on Coastline, and then overtime again on Cafe before ultimately losing it out. But Pryde, the improvements, the work, the dedication that these guys have shown coming into the second half of the season has just been phenomenal. These guys are looking really, really good. Yes, they're looking potentially a little bit weaker on paper as we do head the stat. You look at the heads up, just stats of it all. I mean, 139 to 138. It's not the hugest of round differentials, but they have come leaps and bounds from where we saw them at the start of the season.
I'm glad you mentioned the round differential, Panda, because look at Down2Earth's 176 to 120. How the heck does that happen? That has to be the largest round differential we've seen this whole season.
I believe you're correct. I think Wichita Wolves was very close to that, and same thing with the old Lycus Empire roster. Both those teams were kind of flirting more or less with the same round differential, and it makes sense. Those teams were at the top of the leaderboard. They were sitting 1, 2, and 3. But at the end of the day, when it comes to a grand final, only a certain amount of those rosters can make it here. It was at most 2. And well, we saw those other 2 Titans fall spectacularly.
That's true. And, speaking of Titans falling and everything too, we saw the round differential for Down2Earth go 10-12 up against Emergence. And then game number 2, it was almost just as long as that one. Yet everybody on our staff predictions said that Down2Earth was going to take it all. From the looks of it, it looks like, Pryde had a much easier time getting to the grand finals. Chief, walk us through that whole situation. What exactly happened? Because I know you and Jazzman casted that game. How did it turn out to be such a slugfest?
I think it was, if you're talking about the Pryde game, it was Crafty being introduced to the roster. He is a great player and a great IGL. But to answer your other question from Down2Earth, I think it was, honestly, Dash, the coach of Down2Earth, and the members of the roster didn't quite do their due diligence. They didn't do their homework, and they were not prepared for Emergence. Emergence did their homework. They were prepared, and they put on a fight. Now, the one ace that Down2Earth had up their sleeve was the fact that they are seasoned veterans. They have been in multiple grand finals, and they have won multiple grand finals. And I think after map 1, a switch hit in their head, and they're like, we need to start to perform better. We cannot be making these mistakes. You saw those mistakes be corrected live in game, and then they were able to deliver themselves here. The most important game, the grand finals.
That's right, the grand finals. There can be no mistakes from either team right now, guys. No mistakes from either side. Everyone has to get the map bans exactly right. Some of the people behind the scenes on these teams are absolute gods when it comes to the map bans. We're going to be showing them right down below. We do see 2 bans coming out. Console and Cafe. Oh, praise the Lord. Console, it's gone. But the other maps? Ooh, I'm looking at map number 2 right now, guys. You see that?
Ooh, there's a theme park in here. And actually, there may have been a couple good predictions made by the coaching staff of both these rosters. Before we went live, I asked them what they were expecting from today and the maps that we were doing battle. And these coaches both respectively understood their opponents, and they are able to predict this exact map phase in front of us. And I have to give my hats off to Dash. He is always crunching numbers. He is always analyzing his opponents. And on the side of Pryde, it's EJ and Grave. They're doing the exact same thing, breaking down who they're facing. And clearly, the support staff has already done their homework before we even jump in the server.
So it sounds like map number 2, and maybe even number 1, but let's focus on theme park for a second, is going to be the most wildly interesting map. And Chief, you mentioned yourself how both these teams did their homework. They understand their intricacies of both of each other. But then why would you ban out Cafe? That seems like such a safe map to play.
It is a safe map to play. That's why it's removed. It's a strong map. It's a map that both of these rosters are good on. And Dash is taking the gamble that Down2Earth has a larger map pool than Pryde. And we've actually seen Down2Earth have a 6 map pool. The only map that they weren't playing was our 3rd map, Coastline. They've been saving Coastline the entire season. They brought it out for the first time against Emergence. That was the crazy game that went the distance. And according to Dash in that interview, they weren't prepared for, and I quote, the monkey plays that happened on Coastline. So I think they're going to be a little bit more prepared for aggression because Pryde, very similar to the counterparts of Emergence, are hyper aggressive.
So from what I'm hearing is that it's going to mean that we're going to see a lot of aggressive plays all throughout all of the maps, and that's going to radically transform some maps that we see at least sometimes be a lot more structured and decisive. Panda, Villa and Clubhouse in Oregon, I'm most worried about seeing with this structured gameplay now maybe devolving away into, what Chief and others say, a monkey style of play.
I wouldn't call it monkey. I would probably call it a little bit... It's more fluid than we have seen. There's a lot more momentum. There's a lot more movement involved. Yes, there's a little bit less thinking involved because you're just swinging as much as you possibly can. But... I mean, it's definitely interesting seeing this lineup of maps come in. You've got some very, very strat-heavy maps. Let's call it what it is. Villa Theme Park, Clubhouse in Oregon, they rely quite heavily on the strat side of things. And then to break things up in the middle, you got Coastline, which is, I mean, hey, it's a bit of a vacation. It's a bit of a shootout. You're just going to go have, run and gun. That's basically the way you play a map like Coastline. So it's going to be interesting. It's still interesting trying to break down what we could be expecting from Theme Park collectively. This season, Theme Park has seen 51 rounds played. That's not a heck of a lot. So it's not had the greatest showings. We haven't seen what teams are bringing. So there is potential that, you know, this could be a map that we do see Pryde run away with because, yes, Down2Earth may have picked it, but there's only so much you can do.
So I guess we should go a little bit more into the nitty-gritty about this second map pick. Chief and Panda, I'm curious, guys. When it comes down specifically to theme park, who's going to come out on top? Pryde or Pryde or Down2Earth?
The old In Control Nation roster was so good on theme park, so I have to give it to them. And actually, if we saw how Dark Zero and TSM were playing this map today, this very aggressive attacker-sided theme park, where, well, the attackers would just roam clear the entire map. They would put multi-angle crossfires on the defenders who would get slaughtered. That type of play is what Down2Earth excels in.
Look, hey, it's anyone's game. I think the biggest defining factor in how this map plays out for Pryde is whether it's left to Dylan to clutch up those 1vx situations, because the majority of what we've seen from Pryde the last couple of weeks is it has been some very, very solid rounds, and then there's been a number of rounds where it's been on Dylan to clutch it out in these 1vx situations. Sometimes he does it, sometimes he doesn't, so it's going to be on how the team steps up. But, I mean, look, hey, we won't know until we get there.
Sounds like there's a lot of players we should be on the lookout for all of these maps, especially theme park. But gentlemen, we're only a few seconds away from starting the first map in the final series of season 4 of SCS. Are you guys excited as I am?
I'm so pumped, Max. I want to get this game. Can we just start the game already? You know, people always complain that casters are the one that dictates when the server starts, but today I am going to put my foot down and say, we are starting right here, right now. Let's sit into the first map. Well, I guess it hasn't happened yet, so production doesn't like me
hey,
enough.
look, hey there, Max. We will see you very, very soon. Chief, it has been a long time in the making. We're going to be heading to our first map of this best of 5 grand finals with Down2Earth, like you said, in Control Nation, having switched over to a new team, and Pryde Gaming. Look, honestly, seeing how they played the first couple of weeks, if you told me they were going to be one of the grand finalists here for Season 4, I wouldn't have been too sure, but seeing them get this far, seeing how they played the second half of the season through playoffs, they definitely deserve this spot.
Ace is going to find himself instantly removed. We've seen a lot of hard breachers fall in that role. It used to be the Habanas, but Ace is kind of a better Habana. Habana is known for being the hatch queen, and there's not a lot of hatches that you have to pop open here on Villa, so Ace is going to open up a lot of walls. Now, that second ban tends to be very unique. That is Sledge being removed. Vertical pressure is very important, particularly when you execute downstairs into kitchen. And this is going to remove a set of frag grenades and force Down2Earth to either bring out a buck or rely on the flat breaching charges that Ash and Zofia have.
We also see the Wemai coming out. It's another one that it's still reasonably popular despite the changes that were made. He's still pretty integral to a number of defenses. Valkyrie, no surprises whatsoever. They're coming out of Down2Earth. The information gathering potential, yes, she lost a deployable shield, but realistically, those cameras just do so much work for those late round defenses. Having that key black eye camera positioning can, you know, determine the outcome a lot of these rounds. But we are going to round number 1. Aviator Games up first. Still a lot on the board, so it's going to be interesting to see how they look to play it out here. We've still got the Jaeger on board, so they have some sort of denial at least, and it will be in the hands of Bone. Down2Earth looking to kick things off here. Chief, it's underway.
Well, as we go over to planes and games, this is actually going to be a test of Crafty and see how well he is at identifying mini games. And if I have to be critical out of anybody in this lobby, Crafty, the primary IGL for Pryde, he can sometimes struggle with that, but that's also what he's good at. So it depends on which Crafty you're getting. What IGL level is he bringing today? Because he is absolutely phenomenal. And if you look the lineup that they currently have, this is very unique. They can do not only the traditional take from the north, where you clear master bedroom and work your way towards the south, but Crafty can also call, you know what, there's mirror windows, they're already pre-opening holes towards the study, and we can actually utilize these holes against them. Do a linear take, rotate one of our attackers over to the 90 window. We have now set up our crossfire, and we can start to go for the kill box. That requires a lot more coordination, but more importantly, it requires a lot of mechanical skill, which Pryde has.
Well, we'll see how it goes. 5 seconds until we hit that action phase. The defense is about to be tested here for Down2Earth. Mira was brought in as a 6-pick, so this defensive Aviator games could be very, very scary. It's an operator that plays incredibly well on this bomb site. You've got that paired with a Malusi, paired with the smoke as well. There is a lot going to be used to try and slow down the push here from Pryde. So, a lot of onus is on them to step up, go absolutely massive if they can. We are going to see a pretty stock standard response to this kind of setup. They're going to head over to Master Bedroom, going through walk-in and look to clear from that north to south direction. A lot of barricades already in place. They are understanding that there is probably going to be some roam presence as well, as we see Oni on the flank watch. Not given to Dylan this time, which is usually it's his role to play. He's the one on the Nomad. So we do see some changes coming in already for Pryde.
So they're utilizing Dylan as a true support operator. Sometimes when you have a Thatcher in play, he can be the flex player, but actually the flank watch will be the flex player today. But utilizing those Nomad charges can be a high-risk strategy if you just rely on them purely. As they put one of those over on the Stars stairs, you have to couple that with a drone. Our first engagement in the grand finals will be Bone. He sends about 5 bullets down range, no HP lost, but he's starting to throw and show his teeth. He wants to delay a little bit of Pryde's time, but they've still worked their way all the way up to the zombie window, and they're actually starting to utilize their utility on site, dealing with those Malusi wub-wubs, which is one of the most important steps in removing those from the checklist.
Already early aggression, early positioning here from Pryde. They've got a great amount of the map controlled. They've got great ground to set up for this execute onto the site, and when it does inevitably come, as already you can see the pressure mounting, utility being thrown, and Impact's here waiting for the trick, waiting for that information, waiting for the audio cues to come through so they can try and deny it. Yusuke has a big role to play here in this defense and pushing in. Salt, he's looking for another contest, can't find it just yet. He's playing around that classical Hawaii. He's going to be shot through the drone hole though. Early punishment coming in the form of that MP5. This is very tense, and you can well and truly feel it. And it's only the first round. There we go. Salt gets the first, but the retrade is there. Kojin takes the head, well, the body clean out from Oni. Exile finds yet another SMG-11 going in. Already huge damage being dealt here by Down2Earth, but they aren't safe just yet, Chief. They need to keep their head on a swivel.
They're completely surrounded. Dylan's going to utilize that to his advantage, falling Yusuke, and now it's going to be on Pryde. Which hole are they going to work their way through? They've utilized the majority of those X-Cairo pellets, but it's not going to be enough to actually walk in through a breach. So they're going to have to walk in through those door frames, and that can turn into a fatal funnel. It can be very difficult. You couple that with those mirror windows, as well as those 2 toxic babes. Under 20 seconds left on the clock, which means Exile has over 20 seconds of denial, and it's going to be very risky for Pryde. The call is going to have to be made now, and there it goes. Trades back and forth, but not enough to be damaged. And all of a sudden, Dylan just finds 3. They all line up for him. Pryde, a miraculous round win and a great way to start off the grand finals.
Dylan, I mentioned his name building up to the start of this match. You cannot give him an inch because he will take a mile. He consistently pulls out these massive plays for the team. He's been relegated more often than not to that support role, but the guy can just frag when he needs to. He is, sort of that last resort player here for Pryde. And that's exactly what we're expecting out of someone like him. 4 kills overall in round number 1. Huge 4K for him there. And what a way to kick things off. They're going to change up the bomb site here for Down2Earth. And in fact, we see a big change come in the way of Exile. It's an echo over the Maestro. They're looking for that information. They've also got the Mute Mozzie combo. They're looking to deny as much information away from Pryde. Keep themselves a great position in anchoring this bomb site and look to slow them down. But the question is, I actually got the chance to talk to Exile the other day. A big target has been placed on the back of Dylan for this series, and unfortunately, round number 1, they weren't able to hit that target.
Did Down2Earth die with all their utility? We had 15 seconds left on the clock. We were highlighting that Yusuke and all the those Kojin, as well as the Nitro cells from the Mira, were still in their back pocket. That would have been enough to delay the door frames, but I never saw Down2Earth actually utilize them. And we talk about the opportunity cost of utility, and we talk about players dying with utility in their back pocket. I would rather have a defender waste a Nitro cell, have it find no target, than you actually die with that utility in your back pocket. Because sometimes people get too laser focused, they're too tunnel vision, they're like, I'm going to wait my utility for the last 10 seconds where it's going to be perfect. But you can't really predict the clock. You don't know how things are going to execute. Because if you're all the way outside in the grapes, you might not be able to lob that Nitro cell because the attackers set up a crazy crossfire on you.
Well, already speaking of Crossfire, we are looking to gear up for a very extended second floor defense. It is split. That is the bomb side of choice, trophy statuary, but we've got this extension all the way over into Aviator. They've got a setup there. If I remember correctly, it was Navoza holding that angle, but it's Yusuke to find the opener. He's playing from Vault, finds the head of Sam, takes out that Sophia early, one of the two key entry players here for this team. Sam and Salt, if they go big, the team is going to have a good map. If they don't, it then falls onto the shoulders of Dylan. And yes, he was able to clutch up round number 1, but you can't expect him to do it every single round.
Shotgun close quarters, the roadblocks are still very important for Down2Earth. But when you have Salt on your team, you can just walk into the bomb site, or not the bomb site, but the extension, able to find 2 quick kills, and there's all the off-site pressure dealt with, other than Bone still hiding over by 90. He is yet to be droned out, so he can be very lethal. But as the drones from Pryde are working their way closer to the pillar, Bone's going to have to retreat, but he's actually going to utilize the other edge of the staged room. He's going to stand his ground and try to waste time. Oni spotted the backpack of the Jaeger. He didn't make the call, which allows Bone to get a free kill. He's still standing his ground. He can still be caught up in a crossbar. He's going to be removed by the flashbangs. His unbridled aggression may have cost him his life and have put far too much pressure on their 2 remaining sport players still at the bomb site.
Yeah, it leaves Exile and Kojin, the 2 anchor players of the team, with a pretty hefty job to do here. Yes, you've got that smoke with the SMG-11, Toxic Babes as well, plus the Yokai Drones available for Exile, so they do have the tools they need. It just comes down to how cleanly that execute is denied by Down2Earth. Time, it's very much in favor of Pryde here, just shy of a minute. They're getting themselves set up, want to deny any flanks possible. They are getting the crossfires established as well. You got Oni pushing in from landing. He's got that information that, I mean, the majority of the bomb site is clear, but they need to push in. They need to confirm positioning of the defenders. Exile ready and waiting with that impact. He's going to try and deny the X-Karas from going up. Those at deep. He's going to give away his position though. EMP throwing in, swinging, but can't find the frag as Oni. Exile takes his head up, finds the second. Dylan goes down, and we're in a 1v1. Crafty does get the trade, but it's down to Smoke versus Hibana. Kojin has the angle, sees him, goes to the swing, but unfortunately there's limited ammo in that magazine. Sees the knee, sees it, gets it. Kojin evens things up here with a clean spray. It came so close, so down to the wire there, Chief. It could have gone either way in that gunfight.
That was such a good round from Pryde. They did everything right. They understood how Down2Earth was holding. They executed on that. And then they started to make mistakes. I think Crafty got a little bit ahead of himself. He didn't take a deep breath and start to move his troops in the appropriate manner. And also, when you have the man advantage, you have to push with your man advantage. We saw 2 members of Pryde stacked up, one on the trophy window and the other one by lamp. It was Oni that elected to go for the swing first, the Nomad, who was immediately gunned down. And there was no true answer backswing other than an individual swing by Dylan. He went for the 1v1 gunfight. But imagine if things were different for Pryde. If Crafty said, hold off on that swing, I'm in a position where I could go in from the brick door, which is the southmost door of master bedroom, and let's swing together on that echo. And this way we guarantee the refrag. Now, in his defense, he did do something similar to that, but it was about 4 seconds too late, where it was just falling outside the refrag window and he couldn't guarantee his teammates' life anymore because it was already forfeit.
Well, let's even things up now. We're back into round number 3. It is going to be Dining Kitchen, so we are seeing a pretty cookie-cutter setup here from Down2Earth. You got the Mute Mozzie once again. They're bringing the Pulse, which is a go-to pick on this bomb site. They're doing a heavy upstairs split as well. You got Kojin playing up there with Bone, the Jaeger, and the Goyo setup. They are going to be looking to aggressively contest their opponents once they do push into the building. They want to deny the verticality of it all as much as possible. So it is going to rely on them to win their gunfights. So far, it has been 50-50, if we're being perfectly honest. Pryde, largely through the hands of Dylan, have been able to contest where they need to, but it's still not confirmed yet who's going to be taking this way. Salt already pushing in straight into Art Studio, looking for those early picks that we saw him find in the last round. He could be a key factor of whether or not Pryde win this.
That is quite a bit of nitro cells. You love to call it the call center from hell, and since we're in the grand finals together, we will run with that. And this is going to force the attackers to either actively deal with those nitro cells when they do their vertical destruction, or kind of continuously run with the setup they're going with, this linear take. And I also love the fact that Goyo is now in play. those two explosive shields are going to be very powerful. Because if we go back to the operator bans, well, Sledge brings a set of frag grenades. He's usually one of those operators that is tasked with that. And that means the attackers won't have enough explosives. Salt is going to make a very aggressive play. He will lose his life for it, and his teammate Oni is down but not out. You can see that Coach is perplexed by Salt made that decision, but nonetheless, Pryde is going to have to fight with a man disadvantage.
I mean, that plus it's already... Oh, okay, never mind. I was just going to say something, speak onto the state of the game, but Crafty's in the bomb site. He's found one from behind, but will be traded out there, as well as Sam being taken off the board by Yusuke. So, quick frags now being picked up here. Down to Earth looking very, very good to find themselves the map lead. If there's anything to say about it, it is going to be the hands of Dylan. Unfortunately, not this time. Cogent, he finds the gunfight. He catches the back of Dylan there as he was trying to reposition. Very, very solid round number 3 here, despite Crafty getting himself in as aggressively as he did. Reasonably scot-free, in all honesty, too. But, I mean, Down to Earth, they covered their bases. They won their gunfights and take the round lead.
And this is what you need to do when you're in IGL, when your players are starting to push as individuals, like we saw in round 3 and in round 2, for a matter of fact. Crafty needed to say, all right, guys, we're pushing together as a team. And Salt, with his sin through Big Ben, there was no drone helping that. He needed to say, hey, I'm over in Mudroom. I'm in a position to go for China. Can one of you quickly just drone this out to make sure there's nobody in unique hiding holes? And, well, since the decision-making was never made, Salt loses his life. And also, on the execute on the bomb site, we would see Crafty make the exact same error. He's like, there's nobody really over by Pantry, so I'm just going to solo crouch into the bomb site. Great that he was able to get a pick, but it was almost like he was prepared for that pick and had no contingency plan as soon as that death happened. Because he was out in the middle of the open, where he was going to be shot by every available angle, and you saw exactly that. Somebody challenged from China. Somebody challenged for Memo. Crafty and Pryde just need to slow down their executes. They did a great fast execute in round 1. It paid off for them, and now Down to Earth has been prepared for that level of aggression.
Well, they have been winning the gunfights. At the moment, it's looking a bit rough. The last 2 rounds haven't quite panned out the way I would imagine Pryde would be wanting at the moment. Dylan has yet to find himself a kill after that first round. Sam has yet to get himself on the board anyway. So going around and before they are going to have to try and make some adaptations and make some changes coming to this. Obviously, it is that bomb site that they did win last time around, so that's got to be working for them at the very least. You see that same setup once again. You've got Yusuke playing in Vault. He found some big damage early on in the round through that drone hole the last time he was contested there. But you can see the off-site presence that is being established here. They're not too far away that they can't retreat when they need to, but they are far enough away that if they do find a gunfight, there is support nearby.
We've seen Mozzie be played here the last time Down to Earth elected to bring out this bomb site. They've decided that operator will not be good enough for them. Instead, they're going to be bringing out the Goyo. And again, it's in the exact same position, utilizing those explosive shields coupled with the non-explosive shields of Exile on that smoke to waste as much explosive utility from the attackers. And that means all 3 of the breaching launchers from Salt will be absorbed by those deployable shields or 2 impact grenades from Sam. Nonetheless, they won't be able to utilize those shields to break, or those explosives to break down power positions. And crucially, if any of those projectiles get grabbed by ADSs, it's going to nerf them severely.
Already opening into Vault means that Yusuke isn't secure as he'd like to be, but Exile pushing up, finds the head of Salt, taking him off the board now. Again, that utility that you were talking about being so key, now gone, now off the board, not able to play a part in destroying those Vulcans and deployable shields. This makes things a little bit harder. Sam has the sole responsibility of trying to deal with that. EMP does land incorrectly, so they have to throw a follow-up just to confirm, make sure those ADSs aren't as effective as they need them to be. Exile still here, still willing to contest. This is, again, it's looking a bit shaky here for Pryde as they come down to the final minute of this round.
Crafty needs to make a rotation of one of his players, actually to be Oni making that rotation, but he actually might need to put one more here, try to establish a greater crossfire. That power position that Oni worked so hard to establish on the window has been lost as Oni's head has been removed from his body, and Down to Earth is looking very strong in this round. They have plenty of utility, particularly those smoke grenades from Exile, which will be delaying time, and also Novozo with the Nitrocell, couple that with a Kojin Nitrocell. and Pryde is going to find themselves in a world of hurt when they actually go for their execute. And the pre-made holes from Down2Earth has actually allowed them to expand their bomb site deeper into study. These are some incredibly long angles, but Crafty's just going to work his way through Gunvault. He now has that control, and there's Yusuke finding one. Now it's just an impossible situation for Sam. It's a 1v5. He lines up the headshot, but he's being shot from every available angle. He loses his life. In the end, it was Novozo credited with that kill, and Down2Earth, another strong defensive showing.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit cold here for Pryde at the moment. They start reasonably well. They get themselves in those key positions, and they lose one, they lose another, things start to fall apart, and it all crumbles. It's going to be interesting to see how they make that adaptation. They need to cover their bases. They need the drone work. The spread there from Down2Earth in that last round, like I said, it was not quite heavily committed to the bomb site, but it's not far enough away that you don't have support there in moments, and that's exactly what we saw. We Dylan was going for that rotate, trying to get himself around over towards Study Stairs, looked to come in for the pinch, but Kojin was there ready and waiting. They have read this attack from Pryde very, very well up until this point. So hopefully Pryde understand that there is an idea of what Down2Earth have bringing into this, so they need to make some changes on the fly. If they can do that, then they can change up the momentum of the series. But already Down2Earth, they're up 2 rounds, they've got the 3.5, so even if they lose the next 2, they're going to be sitting pretty happy.
And if we look at the scoreboard for Pryde, it really kind of shows what has been happening through these rounds. Look at Salt sitting 3 and 4. His only kills are from rounds 1 and 2 off those phenomenal entries. He's been struggling ever since then. And I mean, that's kind of the Pryde motif, where if they can't get the opening kill and they can't get the opening real estate, they tend to struggle because they run out of time. There's 45 seconds left in their execute. They realize that they haven't accomplished everything they need to, and Crafty just makes the call, we're going to send it into the bomb site. We're going to just try to push through the breach holes that we made, and that just isn't the answer to their questions. Now, also, importantly, Down2Earth has also learned from round 2, where they got slaughtered by Salt. Instead of doing the extension to the south side of the map, planes and games, they're going to do a vertical extension, putting the majority of their nitro cells downstairs and kitchen to deny entry into master bedroom, being facilitated by Novozo on the pulse.
They really are just trying to cover their bases here. Yeah, the information game is so integral to how Down2Earth are playing this defense. You got a Maestro, you've got a Pulse, you've even got the Banshees to an extent, which will feed that information through audio cues. Pryde needs to be careful. They need to keep Salt and Sam alive so they can deal with a lot of that utility, because the majority of it, if not all of it, is bulletproof, requires some sort of explosive device to make it happen. Ooh, Sam trying to punch open the door, does take some damage. I don't think they realized that he was there. They were just shooting at the opening. But will get that Banshee nonetheless. Will open up into Vault, so they have more room to work with here at the moment. But Novozo down below with Bone as well. A dual roaming Nitro Cell partnership that could spell disaster here for Pryde.
This is the Rising strategy, where you just walk around with a pulse and you try to blow up anything that is sitting still. The Nitro Cell is gripped and ripped. It's going to find its target perfectly. Salt has now been removed. The most important entry is unable to participate here in round 5, and he is going to be forced over to flank watch duty. Now, Billy, my clean feed is frozen. As yours?
No, I'm still going, as the XR will take out Oni, so they are finding yet another frag here to add to that initial one. This is brutal. For the 3rd round in a row, Salt has been the opening death. That time he didn't even have a chance to contest the head-up gunfight because it was a Nitro Cell from below. It makes me wonder if they were actually able to drone out the fact that it was a pulse. Because if they had, surely you cannot stand still. And it looks like we might even find another one. Novozo in trouble. Oh, no, Novozo looking for trouble, sorry. As he has spotted out the player above with that heartbeat scanner. I do believe we are having some minor issues. I will be taking over solo. Here we go. Sam pushes into the bomb site, finds 2. Yusuke and Exile go down, evening up that man count. The EMP just denying the Banshee, but Crafty is the response there. Nitro Cell in, does some big damage. Dylan on the plant. Another Nitro Cell coming in. Throwing. Sam finds himself a 3rd in the round. Bone going down. We are in a 2 versus 2 post-plant situation. Chief, how are you doing at the moment? Are you able to jump back in?
I am not. You're going to have to keep running with it.
Well, it's a post-plant situation. 30 seconds left on the clock. Sam and Dylan versus Novozo and Kojin. They find Novozo. It's Dylan taking the head clean off of the pulse there. So Kojin will get concussed out there with that Vector. Could do enough to just push it over the edge, but he's running out of time. Less than 5 seconds to go before things start to get really dire. No information, no ability to contest. Another concussion goes in, swinging the doorway. It's Dylan to shut it down. Sam and Dylan team up for the big 5 kills, and Pryde will even it up. Or get it closer to even. Well, Chief, it's getting contested here. Pryde, we wondered maybe if they had done their dash after the, 2 through 4 rounds, and now round number 5, they do take another one away, going into the final round of the half. They have potential to even things up here, but again, it's a lot of that legwork being done here by Dylan. He's found 6 kills. Do you reckon they can take it 3-3?
I don't know. Down2Earth is looking so strong, but also Pryde had a great series there, and at least in that round. Now, unfortunately, I did miss a lot of it. I was having to refresh my browser multiple times, but I think my internet has decided it actually wants to cooperate with me, so we're going to be back in action. But we're going to have to see what that translates to as we move on into the...
Well, we saw it last time, Dining Kitchen. It was a bit of a mess, in all honesty. The defense was reasonably solid, despite Crafty managing to walk his way into the bomb site. Even though he did get that 1 frag, he was still traded out reasonably quickly after the fact. So I would have to imagine Pryde are going to go for a different approach here, because they just consistently lost those gunfights. In fact, to the point where, there were question marks in chat as to what was going on. Salt he found a bit of rhythm to start things off. He has kind of lost it feels like here. He's not finding those gunfights. He's being fragged out to start the rounds off. So hopefully that adaptation from the last round carries it on to this one.
I'm going to have to pass it back over to you, Blue. My stream has completely crashed again, so...
Well, we are only just getting into the action phase, so you're not missing out too much here at the moment. They're just gearing themselves up, ready to go outside laundry door. Sam will be the one to push in. Use that impact to destroy the Vulcan shield that was placed there, ready to contest. But at the moment, it's largely on the remainder of the team to get themselves in, contest those gunfights. Salt, he's in walk-in closet. He's looking to try and establish some of that vertical control. Will open up into master bathroom, but Yusuke is close by. He has heard that breach charge go out. Bone there is in support on that run. They can look to potentially do some damage to this Pryde attack before it even gets remotely close to the bomb site here. A lot of early aggression, a lot of early setup being placed in, and Sam going to be the one to start leading that charge in, push towards Statuary, on the hunt for anyone that he can find. Barbed wire doesn't get destroyed. He misses the second swing, just a little bit hesitant to the fact that there might be someone in contesting close by. And Salt, again, aggressively positioning himself. Yusuke ready with a nitro. It's throwing deep. It is going to be dealt with. So Salt will keep his life for a little bit longer here. He's still in master. It's going to be Bone, though, to open up. Sam does go down. So these aggressive positionings aren't paying out for Pryde at the moment. At least there is a refrag coming out from Crafty. Takes down Exile. Malusi off the board. Another Nitro Cell gone. No pulse this time, so they're going to have to rely on as much information as they can find. And oh my lord, there is some talk in chat at the moment, Exile, with some big words. And they seem to have decided that Pantry is the name of the game here as they're looking to push themselves up. There is a hole open, so they have that information. Salt going to take some damage, but can't quite find the trade back at the very least. Nabozo in position, does get his head taken clean off by Oni, though, as they are gearing themselves up for this final execute. Barricade being opened up. Oni will see it. Oh, he switched off at the last second. Chief, are you back now?
I am back. My internet decided not want to work, but we have refreshed it. We're all good to go, and it looks like Down2Earth is going to find themselves in a very awkward position until Bone rectifies that, able to find one back equal man count, but there's not a lot of time left on the clock. The air jab will alert members of Pryde that they have retaken over by Memo. Crafty's going to prompt himself with a plant, and it's going to start to go down, but it instantaneously shut down by Yusuke, and Yusuke is now going to fall. Actually, Koji will be the one tasked with that death, and now Pryde is going to have to save the day. It's a 1v1 since Dylan is dead, down but not out. Bone's working his way. He doesn't know the plant's going down. Crafty's going to get off it, and it's a tango. Lethal, back and forth they go. Bone has no idea where his opponent is. Crafty's going to go for the peak, and he'll be successful. Crafty single-handedly saves a round for his team in phenomenal fashion. It's a 3-3 split at the half.
It was close there. It really was. Crafty definitely just scraping by at the end there. I don't quite know why Bone decided to go for the full commit, but it happened. That's how it played out. And as a result, we go into the half 3-3. Pryde now onto the defense. I mean, on a map like Villa, surely you're more comfortable on the defense. We'll see how it plays out for them as, you know, the favoritism has shifted somewhat back towards that 50-50 area. It's not necessarily hard favored to one side or the other at the moment. But I mean, Pryde, they're gearing up for this ABG defense. No mirror in their setup, though. They are going for a Cade. So we'll see how this one plays out for them.
And I think you highlighted it perfectly. We're going to have to really see how Down2Earth elects to go for their attacks. They're a very structured team, and they're able to really change up how they take a bomb site. Like we were highlighting when we hopped into round 1, we're saying, will Pryde go for their linear executes over on the study side, or will they go for the big grandiose roam clear north to south, clearing as much real estate as possible? And even when Down2Earth was on defense, they understood that, well, Pryde would do that exact strategy. So they brought out Nitrocell Denial. And it seems like it's going to be somewhat of a similar story from Pryde. They're not only expanding over to the north side of the map, but they have the option of moving some of that Nitrocell utility down to the first floor. It's going to be really on how these pushes come through, but the Goyo shield over by Astro Split is a tell-all. It's going to be a linear hold, trying to deny as much access to the master bedroom as possible.
Well, we'll have to see how it does play out. Like you said, Down2Earth, a very, very structured, very disciplined team. So we'll see if that is enough to help them bring this map back in their favor now that they're on the attack. But you see the spread. Oni, Sam, and Salt over towards this northern side of the building, anticipating that will be the entry point for this roster. Yusuke is there. He's on the Ash. He's in Walken. And, I mean, they are just anticipating aggression. You can see in the way that both teams are playing. And this time round, it goes the way of Sam. With a hole open in the master bedroom wall, finds Bone. That's some explosive utility off the board. 2 impacts, 2 concussions gone with more than 2 minutes left to play. Chief, that is devastating.
It's a great start for Pryde and something that Down2Earth should have been able to drone out. That's a common setup with those 2 reinforcements all the way to the north and then leaving the southmost wall open. You just need to drone that out, put a drone over by Deer, and then maybe change up your execute, put one of your attackers over by the window where Yusuke currently is playing and cut down that rotation. Now, we did end up seeing that the rotation was made by the hole between the 2 sides of the map, but nonetheless, you still want to at least try to inhibit as much of that movement from the defenders as possible. Now, with Yusuke going out this window, he might be setting himself up for a 90. Instead, he's actually going to snipe away those default cameras, which are providing a lot of information to Pryde.
As we head towards the second half of this round, it's 3-3. Start of the attacking half for Down2Earth. Their defense was very, very solid for the most part. Just a couple of little slips which allow Pryde to claw it back to that 3-3 standing. They're positioning around Aviator Door, right in by Zombie. Exile just waiting for the call, waiting for the information that they need to go in and execute onto the bomb site. And only 1 death for Down2Earth, so definitely a workable position. But you look at that, Dylan looking to deny. Toxic canister thrown. No, it does get through. Novozo finds Sam as he's looking to deny the plant. Exile goes down to the smoke. Another down on Novozo. Yusuke at least will bring it back, so it's not the biggest deficit. Kojin, in fact, will equalize on active members in this map right now. Doesn't win the follow-up gunfight. Oni with that Org A3 just a little bit too quick on the trigger. And Yusuke now desperately trying to relocate, desperately trying to get himself a teammate to help out in this push, and it's 2-2. 1 player on either side. Damage. Dylan with the SMG-11 does finish off Novozo. Yusuke pushes in, can't confirm the kill, and with 10 seconds left here, it looks like it might all be over, and Dylan follows him through the doorway. A shotgun shell to the back, and it's all over in the opening round of the second half. Pryde do take themselves again that round advantage, 4-3 going in round number 8.
And we're talking about Down2Earth being a structured roster, but that round was far from structured. They were following the exact same hint that Pryde was back in round 2, where they weren't playing together as a cohesive unit. They're starting to push as individuals. And where on earth were the drones from Down2Earth? They had hardly any presence throughout the map. and they just weren't confirming that location. Now, fortunately for them, they're going to be going over to a different bomb site since Planes and Games is now locked, where they're going to Dining Room. That is a difficult bomb site to execute on, and actually the best on this map, simply because it's going to force the attackers to take more map control. And very similar to Pryde, are they going to execute vertically, taking control of Master Bedroom, or are they going to go for the linear execute, taking control of Library? They still have to be very cautious of those all-important Nitro cells. But I do like the change and difference between Down2Earth and Pryde, where Down2Earth, they were bringing out the Jaeger. However, Pryde is going to be bringing out the Vigil with Salt.
Well, we'll have to see how it does pan out for McCall, center from hell, in play. And you look at that Dylan, the first player to hit double digits in the server, 10-0-3 right now. Just well and truly stepping up huge for the team at the moment. As I said, he was going to be a key figure in how this series plays out for Team Pryde. And I talked to Exile the other day. They are very wary of what he can bring to the table for this roster. So there is a target on his back. They are looking to try and shut him down as best they can. In fact, there was a little bit of confidence when I was talking to him the other day. They said, look, we're not too worried. We more often than not, when we see him in VODs, it's him clutching up in a 1vx and not always able to find those frags. So we reckon we can take him. We just got to deal with the rest of the team and then move on to him. And unfortunately, they haven't been able to do that, Chief. The score speaks for itself. 4-3 in favor of Pryde. They have been going huge already. Only this pick is paying out dividends. They know there's players down in the basement. They have that information. Now they can look to change things up and find those gunfights.
What concerns me is there's really no soft destruction, or at least soft destruction that can be utilized on the floor above. You only have the flat breaching charges of Bone. A lot of Ashes are electing to bring a set of breaching charges over the Claymore, because while Claymores can get you a kill, it really doesn't do a lot. It can be shot away for free. The bright red lasers are truly in your face as a defender, and actually the defenders have retaken the top floor. It looked like it was Salt that worked his way up the Astro stairs, and he's going to try to utilize a vertical obstruction that the attackers would, well, against them. And Pantry Wall being opened up, they're in a prime position to go for a rush. Bone's going to start it off with the opener. Crafty knows there's players looking by. He gets too aggressive. He loses his life. Unfortunate for him. Yusuke's better. Finds another one. It's all working out perfectly for Down2Earth, as now it's a 1v5. Nitro Cell in hand. It will connect to Kojin, but it's not going to be enough. An ill-advised Wyatt swing with the SMG-11 won't be good. And Yusuke, on a triple kill in the round, opens things up and finds his team in a strong victory.
Dylan, he was still a real thought on the side there. Got the kill, got the down onto the next player, but couldn't quite find anything off the back of it. So still proving that he is something to be concerned about if you are Down2Earth, but at least they get the round. They even things up 4-4. Now heading to trophy statuary. We have seen a little bit of a deviation from what Down2Earth are bringing in the first half, and well, it's again, it has been the Dylan show. He has been the one to find those big frags. So hopefully we see Salt and Sam step up. They just don't seem to have an answer to like taking opening gunfights against Bone, because he has won a number of them in the last few rounds. So hopefully there is a position they can hold, information they can deny that allows them to take these openers.
Now, Blue, I wonder if it comes down to the fact that, members of Down2Earth have been and won multiple grand finals. You have Exile and you have Novozo coming from Homeland. They're able to win the grand finals of SCL back in Season 4. You have Kojin from Unreal Nightmare, who was able to win it in Season 3. And he also won AEL grand finals, which basically puts Bone as the only one to have not won a grand final, because his comrade in crime, Yusuke, was able to win SCL Season 2. So maybe Down2Earth just doesn't have grand final shakes. All of them are veteran players. They've been put in this situation before. They're calm, cool, and collected. Or maybe members of Pryde have yet to have this level of pressure really put on them.
I mean, there's any number of realities that could be impacting this, but at the moment, Pryde, they're really making Down2Earth work here on Villa. That's the least that can be said here right now. Down2Earth, I don't think they quite expected to find themselves this close at 4-4 going into the later stages of Villa here. So hopefully we do see someone start to pull away start to push towards closing out the map and taking us to map number 2, because at the moment, I mean, Chief, you're there for the second longest competitive match in Rainbow Six Siege history. It was 2 different teams, but I mean, with the way things are going, rounds being traded back and forth as much as they are, we could see yet another one. And it was if I remember correctly, on this map as well.
It was on this map. It seems like I tend to have the curse because I was Emergence, and well, they almost broke that exact same record the last time we were here in postseason. It wasn't too long ago, and that just seems to be their motif. I was critical of Down2Earth and their droning back in round 7, but here in round 8, at least for the first, or pardon me, here in round 9, it seems to be a lot better. And Salt's going to be on the bad end of that deal as he was caught out by Drone. Yusuke put a lot of damage into him, but fortunately for Pryde, Salt is still alive. You would rather have a member with low HP than a member that has been dead. Salt's going to take an explosion, but he wasn't prepared for the rotation being cut off by Exile. And there's the opening kill that Down2Earth desperately needed. It's going to be answered back by a Smoke Toxic Babe. 10 seconds of denial will force Yusuke to rotate deeper down the Astra stairs, but that's only temporary.
I mean, the positioning is there. They have the tools they need to get themselves into the bomb site, but it's the bodies that are in position to defend. Sam evens things up, takes down Yusuke, takes down the linchpin of this attack for Down2Earth, so they're back at 4-4. Exile pushed all the way into Astro, now into Master Bathroom, has Bone in support, so they can look to try and dual execute onto the site. It really becomes the question of, can they find that trade that gives them the advantage, tips the scales in their favor so they can push onto the bomb site. But you look at that, Sam wins another one, Exile goes down, will be dropped down but not out, but they have no way to know that. He gets the second one, and it will be a final. No, they don't get it. It's actually Kojin elsewhere to find Dylan. So it's a 1v3 Oni. With the SMG-11 in hand, goes to spray, completely whiffs all the shots, is locked out onto the landing at the moment, will have to pull back towards that trophy door. But again, they have his number. They are well aware of the positioning here. They don't know that there's 2 players down, but they know that there's only one gun shooting at them at the moment. Only playing prone. They do finalize the 2 kills, can't finalize anything else because they do shut it down. Bone with that M762 just walks in. And once they realized that there was 2 players down, it wasn't much of a hassle to find the third.
That was a unique round. You just saw Down2Earth. They almost realized that there was a void in the Pryde defense, and they just started to push deeper and deeper. They weren't really relying on drones. They were face checking. That can put themselves in an awkward predicament in a different round where if there were 3 members gun up from Pryde, if you go face checking through fatal funnels, the likelihood of you surviving is, well, very low. And like you've been talking about throughout this series, it's really Pryde struggling to find the scoreboard where everybody on Down2Earth is more or less even. Everybody's pulling their same weight. Even the traditional support players or the flank watches, individuals who aren't usually in the heat of battle, well, they're still contributing equally, not only with their droning, but also when they are needed to click heads. Down2Earth is doing a great job of that as well.
Well, at the moment, just the share of responsibility, Down2Earth, each player on the team currently is carrying their own weight. They're doing their job. Pryde, there's a couple of players who are lacking behind. Unfortunately, one of them is Salt, who has not found a kill since round number 2. So there is just a bit of a lack here for the side of Pryde. Again, it's Dylan who has stepped up and filled that void. And I said, you cannot rely on a single player to consistently clutch up, pull those big performances out of the bag, and win yourselves maps, because this is a team game. It's a tactical first-person shooter as well. So you cannot do it. You have to have help, and hopefully the rest of the team can step up and fill that void that is being left there. But round number 10, Down2Earth, 2 rounds away from pushing us to our next map. Pryde, they need to pull something out of the bag to equalize here.
This is a very similar strategy to what we saw back in round 7, the last time Pryde was able to win a round. And you can see Down2Earth already with those yellow pings. They've identified where the primary gunfights are going to be taking place. That one small slit that was made. Yusuke's still going to face check it. An incredibly desperate and aggressive play. It works out well for him as Sam loses a little bit of HP. Yusuke is going to push deeper over into Astro, but he's going to have to deal with the TCSG slug shotgun. That gun is a menace close quarters coupled with the deployable shield. That power position is going to have to be dealt with. An explosive gadgetry from Ash will do exactly that. Salt forced to rotate away, and the north side of the map has been cleared in 1 minute.
Yeah, it gives some great position to work from here. Sam, though, will find Exile. Taking the Thatcher off the board is brutal. They now have no guaranteed way to get Hunting Vault open. They are now going to have to most likely push through these fatal funnels, through Zombie, in through Classical Doorway, even through Study potentially. So this, this is what separates the good players from the great players. Can Down2Earth overcome this obstacle? And Sam going down indicates that maybe they can. Yusuke pushing aggressively into 90 might be able to translate that into the advantage they need to get onto the bomb site, get the diffuser down. But this time, there's so much time in their favor right now. Down2Earth, they're feeling comfortable. It's largely on the shoulders of Pryde to shut this down.
As we get closer to 60 seconds left on the clock, the attackers have plenty of utility in their back pocket. Those flashbangs can be very crucial for removing what could be ADSs. But Pryde is not even bringing it. They actually brought the Jaeger, but he has been felled early on. And the way Jaeger now works, he doesn't have guaranteed 2 charges. He has a charge that will gain, well, charges back through physics somehow over the course of those ADSs being on the ground. But it might not matter when Kojin's able to win ones. It's going to be tacked on the board by an additional kill by Novozo. Things are looking very bad. Toxic Babes to answer it, but it's not going to be there. And it's going to be a TCSG from Salt. It's an important round for him. He's been quiet throughout this series, and he'll be quiet again as Kojin finishes him off. Down2Earth moves over to match point.
1 round, that's all they need, and we will be heading over to our second map of this best of 5 grand finals. Theme Park could be coming our way very, very soon. And Down2Earth, they are playing that mental game right now. They are just looking to drive the knife in, give it a twist. They are not easing up on the throttle whatsoever here as we head back to Aviator Games. The second to last round of regulation time before we head to OT. And my lord, they are really giving it to Pryde here in terms of the mental department.
And see, that's something that Down2Earth does a lot. Now, they aren't being technically toxic. What they're doing is they're just trying to jar their opponents enough and just play that mental game. You know, a lot of Siege, people think, oh, it's an FPS, it's a MOBA. There's also an element of psychology attached to it. And if you can start to get your opponent to shake, and what Pryde is very good at is, and the reason why Crafty and Salt were picked up, not only are they good players, but they also have a great vibe. They are fun individuals to be around, and if you know anything about Crafty before a series starts, he's always in a VC screaming and yelling and singing and just getting his teammate into a happy mood where they're ready to execute. And when you have a team like Down2Earth, well, they're going to fight you on every single plane of existence. And one of those planes is that element of psychology, and they're going to try to just degradate your mindset over the entire length of a series.
Well, I think they've already started to chip away at the mental armor of Pryde here. They have map point advantage here on Villa. It was their opponent's map pick too, so to take that away would be very, very solid. Look to do as much mental damage as they can going into the second map, because then it just weakens their resolve. But there's still 2 rounds potentially to play, and Bone to kick things off takes down Salt. That is not going to help whatsoever.
A great opener. Salt's still on the struggle bus, and he might remain on the struggle bus for all of Villa, but he still has plenty of defenders that have utility. And those nitro cells have been very useful at denying entry not only into the gunvault default plant, but also the map plant. So we're gonna have to see how that is answered back. Now, Exile is going to attempt this rappel. The last time he was here, he was brutally gunned down in this position. But since Salt was felled early on, this is going to force Sam to retreat away from that 90 pillar and deep behind the deployable shield, which means Exile should be more or less safe to sit here. We're also going to see that power position be coupled by a defender from Pryde on his belly, looking aggressively towards the drone hole.
It's not looking great here if you're a Pryde fan. They're down a player. And they're down a nitro cell as well. Positioning already very, very good for Down2Earth to go for this execute. 2 players outside of Zombie. Novozo watching the cross, and Yusuke will be repositioning to join up with Kojin. They're all there, all ready to go. The question is just how solid is that defense going to be? Crafty is there waiting on the vault door. Can he find the angle? This player's ready to pressure him from that study area as well. He's going for the swing around the couch. He's got the mouse one prepped and ready to go. Does see the shoulder, but can't quite find it. Another impact trick. Is it going to be enough here? Is Oni going to be tagged up next? He's playing around top main stairs. Exile does find the kill onto that big older wielding Italian. Unfortunately killed in his own home. Dylan, the key linchpin here for this defense and what could be the final round. SMG 11 in hand, ready to step up when he needs to, but it's Sam to find the next. He brings it closer to even. Dylan goes down. Exile finds it. He looks for another but can't. It's Sam. He does, again, find that key frag. It's 2 to 3. Entirely doable. Only concussed. Sam watching that long angle. As they join up for the crossfire, Oni finds himself another. That's it. This is the key. Sam for the third. They need one more, and they could push it closer to OT. Bone in a 1v2 situation doesn't have diffuser. Only has 10 seconds left, Chief. They might be able to stop. They might be able to stall it a little bit longer, and they do. Sam with a 4K, picking up the slack where Dylan left off.
A good round by Pryde. They lost the opening duel, but they're able to recall all of their troops back to the bomb site where they sat back, relaxed, and waited for Down2Earth to make mistakes. And something we've been talking about throughout Villa are individuals just pushing by themselves, getting a little bit too aggressive and pushing in through door frames without cover. Imagine if Down2Earth rotated somebody over to study and just opened up the study balcony as well as a study window. That would have put so much pressure on the defense that Pryde wouldn't have really been able to occupy study, or if at minimum they would have had to actively challenge those positions, which would have given the attackers the opportunity of still pushing in through gun vault. And also has to be critical of the planter, where he just was like, you know what, I think there's an opening. We got a few kills. I'm going to attempt the plant without waiting for one of his teammates to set up some crossfires to, well, grab a player that is throwing a nitrocell or throwing a toxic babe.
Well, one more round is all Pryde needs to push it to OT. And we've experienced infinite overtime before, Chief. We've experienced the long slog. 24 rounds this season was the most we've had in a game. But, I mean, with the way the trading is going back and forth, it's entirely possible. The big changes already being made. They're trying to adapt the strategy to count their opponents off guard. We see Dockerby coming in for Exile. First time it's had a showing here in the grand finals. And, I mean, you look at the board, you look at the stats, you look at the numbers being put up. Sam, he's joined his teammate there. They could go huge.
And honestly, in professional play today in the North American finals, we've seen a lot of Dokkaebi bans simply because she brings a set of smoke grenades, she brings a set of frag grenades, her DMR is gnarly and will remove you at every step of the way, and also her phone calls can be very oppressive. If they're placed and timed well, they'll provide your primary entries with enough information for them to go for a wide swing, since the phone gets louder the closer you are to them. But lucky for Pryde, probably not as a counter strategy, but mute has been brought. And mute is a perfect counter to Dokkaebi. If you're in proximity to those mute jammers and Dokkaebi attempts to call you, well, it won't even reach your phone and you won't have to pick it up. And if your phone is ringing when the Dokkaebi calls you and you walk into one of those mute jammers, it will automatically hang up for you because you get disconnected. So Pryde has plenty of tools to directly counter Exile. They're also going to have to counter his mechanical skill somehow.
Well, last time we were on this map, well, I was on this map, it was with Crow, and one of the big talking points for this map was nitro cell efficiency. They just didn't have it in the bag. Oh, okay, that was a dirty frag grenade. Exile, we talked about you were talking about the mechanics, and there we go. Landed. He's looking for another. Just sees the gun barrel of Salt, tags him through the wall. He's looking to get that camera. Salt is in a bit of trouble right now. His frag entry duo now off the board. A lot of onus now on his shoulders. That is a brutal frag to take early on. The MP5, such a key gun. That nitro cell as well. That was a clean nade.
Well, you're talking about nitrocell efficiency. How about frag grenade efficiency? It's never a good day when the frag grenade hits you in the dome before the frag grenade indicator even picks it up. Brutal way to go. And also, we're highlighting how effective that DMR is. I mean, look at Salt. Salt was hit once. Sam was hit once before the nade finished him off. And it was just put them below 50 HP by 1 bullet. Now everybody in Down to Earth is pro for their execute. Bad micro position by Crafty will cost him his life, but we see Salt over by Pantry. He was in a perfect position to counter. He's going to go for the aggressive swing. SMG-11 unable to even control that gun. Exile will be through the kill feed. It's so important that Pryde stays together, but they lose their life instantaneously. Down to Earth takes map number 1 here in this best of 5 grand finals.
There we go. The mental game just carrying on the entire team, dropping the good half. Good job, Salt. They are just twisting that knife in Salt's ribs right now. Mentally, of course, not physically. That's bad. And
murder is bad. Yes, Blue. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. We don't condone violence.
I didn't say murder him, just physically maim him a little bit. I mean, the mental armor has got to be weakened at this stage. It's not going to be ideal going in map 2. You just lost your own map pick, 7-5. You were 1 round away from going to overtime, and then you're just in a rather heartbreaking round, in all honesty, to finish things off. So, I mean, that's not ideal going into map 2. King, welcome back.
Hi, hello. That was a really cool map number 1 that we saw, especially on Villa. I wasn't really sure how it would go either way for each team or how aggressive they would be, but let's talk about Down to Earth and their attacks towards the very end. Each round it seemed like they had such a great execution going up until they went to the bomb site, and at times it just kind of fell apart. What exactly happened once they started crumbling all those pieces?
I mean, there was just... Okay, so there's one
glaringly
obvious. There's one glaringly obvious thing that was key in how Down to Earth won that. Sam and Salt went 3-9 combined in opening gunfights. They were able to shut down 2 of the primary fraggers for Pryde consistently without fail, and that crippled whatever Pryde were bringing, whether that was on attack, whether that was on defense, and not to mention that the all chat may have had a part to play in how a couple of those rounds played out.
I think that's a great way of putting it. I also think it comes down to Down to Earth was great at identifying what they were going to run in on the other side of the map. They would take control, and then they've lost a lot of their utility because they've already completed those mini games. So instead of having utility to just push into the bomb site, they have to push in with their forehead first, and you never want to do that because your forehead is vulnerable. If it gets separated from your body, you'll be forced to watch cameras for the rest of the round, and that's just no fun. And Pryde found themselves in the exact same scenario, and Down to Earth was just, well, I guess technically better on Villa, because if they found a roadblock, more times than not, they're able to rectify those mistakes.
One thing I'm noticing too is that so many of the entry picks, just about all of them that we see, went towards Down to Earth through the entirety of the game. 0, 0, and 0 across the board for 3 of the members of Pryde.
That's a little awkward. Now, I will give Crafty, the benefit of the doubt. He is the support player, and if he is in the opening entry kill, that usually means that his roster made a mistake, or that there is a super aggressive kill. And also, it's very good that he doesn't have a single opening death, so I'll give him that one.
That's true.
His comrades in crime, I mean, Dylan's in a very similar position to Crafty, where he probably shouldn't be getting the opening kill or the opening death, and he hasn't. The 2 important operators, though, are going to be Salty and Sam, your true primary entries, and Oni as a flex, who may or may not be in the heat of the battle.
Yeah, I mean, you're just looking at the stats on the board. It's kind of brutal, in all honesty. Just looking at how the overall summary of the map: 5-10, 4-10, 5-12, and then you look at the 2 top fraggers, 11-8 and 12-10. Just, if nothing else indicates how much work Dylan and Sam did in that map, I don't know how else to put it. You've got 3 players who are sub 1 rating. Your opponents, none of them are below 1. This is just not a great indicator. Pryde, they need to be using this time between maps. They need to have a debrief. They need to reset mentally. They need to, whatever it is, they need to do something here to bring them into map number 2 and give them a real shot. Because, I mean, we talked before we went live with the broadcast. We doubted there was going to be a 3-0, but if the maps are playing out that way, I don't think any player would have the stamina enough to carry 3 teammates for 3 maps.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, what map number 2 is going to be, it's not your traditional Rainbow Six competitive map that we see all the time either. It's not your Sugar Spice or Everything Nice Powerpuff Girl map. No, it's going to be Theme Park instead that we see. And that's just not a map we see too often until the recent time of day. So guys, I'm going to ask you one very simple question before we talk about Season 5. What can we expect to see from Theme Park now that we've seen one map in the grand finals? Do you think Down2Earth still has this advantage, or is Pryde really going to show up and bring things to a 1-1 count?
If we saw the entries that Down2Earth brought on Villa, it's going to be, well, exacerbated on Theme Park. It's going to be amplified, it's going to be stronger, and we're going to see this. We're going to need to see a strong roam pressure, a tandem roam from Pryde if they want to shut down the aggression from Down2Earth, and the controlled aggression at that.
Yeah, look, going into Theme Park, it's again another map that is heavily dictated, at least pace-wise, by how that roam game plays. Down2Earth, they have been on top of things so far. They came into this very ready to go. I'm hoping deep inside my soul that it is just a case of Pryde. They weren't quite warmed up to the same level. They took a map. They're now coming into map number 2. They're going to be firing on all cylinders, and they will give Down2Earth a big run for their money.
Well, there's only one way to find out, guys. I'm not going to make you wait too much longer, but before we get started with map number 2, we do got to talk about the big elephant in the room, and that's going to be Season 5, only happening in a few weeks. Now, with all that being said and done, it's going to be the first open qualifier, going to be February 3rd to the 5th, and then open qualifier number 2, going from the 10th to the 12th. Now, it's going to be a lot of opportunities to have those open qualifiers, so if you think you could beat out Down2Earth, if you think you beat out the likes of Pryde, Emergence, Frog Champ, Team 99, and all the other participants we've seen in so far of Season 4 of SCS, well, first of all, good luck. Second of all, why not give it a try? Go into the open qualifiers. Unlimited amounts of teams for 2 separate occasions of these open qualifiers. But here's the catch though, ladies and gentlemen. Only 10 of those teams from each of the qualifiers are going to move on into the closed qualifiers. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, what the heck are closed qualifiers? Well, similar to the NAL system, the closed qualifiers will be from the 17th to the 18th of this year in February. But with only 22 teams, things got to get narrowed down a lot more. 6 best of ones a day, and of course, that means 3 of those best of ones will be happening each of the 2 days of the closed qualifier, but only 10 teams are going to be moving on into the actual season of Season 5. Things are going to be a lot more cutthroat this time around in SCS Season 5. Better production, better casters, better all around, but even better teams. There's going to be no trimming of fat this time around. Each team needs to play their best every single time. It's their time to play a play day. But with Season 5, Stage 1's going to be 5 weeks long, 12 teams, 2 groups, and best of 2s every single week. Those top 4 teams from each of those will be going on, or from each group, will be going on to Stage 2. And then Stage 2, only 3 weeks, not so much the 5 anymore, but it gets even more cutthroat. Down to the bone, little meat left, 8 teams, double elimination, best of 3. And it's going to be very exciting. But we have to get through the grand finals first. We have to see who's going to come out on top for Season 5, and welcome back, Chief. Welcome back, Blue Panda. We're going to see how things go in map number 2 for Theme Park. I don't know what to expect for Theme Park. It's a spooky, scaring map. There's no trains in there anymore. But, Chief, lay it down on me. What can we expect to see from Down2Earth in this matchup?
No more trains. They got rid of the best room in the map, the train
room. They did!
Oh, it's so heartbreaking. Honestly, what I'm expecting to see from this map is, again, perfect, frame-perfect grenades. Right, and map number 1, we saw the sledge be removed, and sledge is going to be incredibly important here as we move to Villa, or not Villa, in the theme park, because, well, when you're taking over in through the armory, you have to swing that sledgehammer. But enough theory crafty. Let's actually start talking about map number 2. Bye, Max.
Bye, Kate.
We're diving in.
Bye.
Well, coming into this is Theme Park. This, like I said, 51 rounds in total of Theme Park have been played this season. It is not a map that has been seen a lot of light. It's only just behind Coast, if my calculations are correct. But there's already some interesting stuff to talk about. 2 bomb sites in particular, Initiation and Daycare, have a less than 50% defender win rate. In fact, I think Initiation is 36%, whereas the remaining 2, Lab, which, I mean, it's only seen 8 play days, it has a 75% win rate, Chief.
Oh no, look who is back in the ban phase. It will be Sledge. This is going to put a lot of weight on the final attacker ban for Down to Earth. Are they going to remove a hard breacher or are they going to remove the Thatcher? The Bane of Rainbow Six Siege will be taken out, and that means you have every single hard breacher open and available to you. And more importantly, it's going to be the Maverick, because he can act as a pseudo Thatcher, helping to facilitate opening up those walls, whether or not he's drawing 2 lines vertically to go for the impact or for the trick, or if he just cuts a small hole and sends his frag grenade down range. Valkyrie, the pseudo Echo, has been removed as well, so no real information gathering unless you actually elect to bring out the Echo himself.
Well, final ban going to be coming in. It's a Wemite once again. Pryde taking out the same 2 operators, Sledge and Wemai. Interesting, given that, a lot of people have talked about how Wemai no longer that relevant. You don't have to worry about him too much. Still incredibly powerful, especially for defenses on bomb sites like Throne Armory. You don't have to worry about the verticality. It's all about the grenade game to enable those walls to be open. But here we go. Speaking of, it is that bomb site coming through. We are going to be heading downstairs. One of the most showcased bomb sites when it first came into competitive play, but this time around it's different. The changes have been made, so it'd be interesting to see how both teams approach a map like Theme Park.
And as we've been hyping up Theme, it's going to be really on the defenders and how they elect to go for their roam here on Throne. And then you couple that with how the attackers are directly going to deal with it. Because we've seen a lot of defenders put their hearts and their souls upstairs by the dorm side and also in initiation. And they've started to get very clever. They realize that the attackers can push not only from the cafe side, but also from the cache side. So they've started to put a lot of rotations throughout that top floor to give them the extra fluidity to rotate safely. And if the attackers go for a split push, well, you could always open up the top hatch right above us and actually drop directly into split and save your life, because that's the most important thing. Not necessarily getting the opening kill when you're on defense, but it's to waste the attacker's time and utility.
And I mean, it depends on who you're talking to as to whether or not that's the true purpose of a roamer. But yeah, at this level, the more time you can waste as a roamer, regardless of whether or not you find frags, regardless of whether or not you waste that utility, which you're trying to do anyway. But the longer they take to deal with you, the longer it's going to take them to get to the bomb site, the less chance they have to get that plant down. But here we are, round number 1 underway. Upstairs presence very much in place here for Pryde. They've gone for that extended roam, which is so key on a map like Theme Park. And Salt at the moment is looking to try and contest in and around this cafe area. If they can do that, they can shut down the pressure early. Could mean it is that much harder to take the bomb site later on.
Man, I just love how Pryde is constantly bringing out nitro cells. One of those operators who had a nitro cell has lost his life, but Crafty will spend his perfectly and connect with Novozo. The primary flank watch has now lost his life. He's an incredibly important operator who has those 3 sets of air jabs, and they will not be placed throughout the map, which means you're going to have to relegate drones to watching those staircases. Be very careful, Down to Earth. You might get swung on by the 2 members of Pryde who are actively hunting you. Yusuke has now lost his life. He's down, but not out. And there's a nitro cell lurking below like an angry hammerhead shark, ready to send that nitro cell and confirm the life of Yusuke. Kojin is playing this very passively. He doesn't want to die to a nitro cell and expend his life, but Oni will not send it above.
I don't think he had any idea. I don't even know if they realized that Yusuke had been downed in that trade between him and Sam. So, missed opportunity, unfortunately. You see the positioning. Exile deals with the mute jammer. He is in a great spot to start pressuring onto the bomb site, enable the rest of the team to join him so they can go for that inevitable execute. With a minute 12-ish left on the clock, they are gearing themselves up to go for a big aggressive push here. Thatcher up the board means that a lot of the onus is now on Kojin. He needs to enable them to get that wall open, whether that's dealing with the electrical so the Exile can take over or just doing it himself. It's anyone's guess, but the longer they take to execute, the longer they take to get that wall open, the harder it is going to be when it comes down to the wire.
Today, TSM for Dark Zero, we would actually see TSM execute with 10 seconds left on the clock. They weren't even dealing with any of the map, really. They would just clear out the map, and then they wouldn't open up the walls other than this northmost yellow one. Trades are going to go back and forth to these teams, still staying at equal man count. But there is the Maverick, so important. He has now opened up the wall, and it's a prompt Oni to get very aggressive. The primary entry, Yusuke, has now fallen, and this is going to put Down2Earth in a very awkward position. They won't be able to push and cover at the same time, and they're also going to have to deal with the 2 remaining toxic babes of Dylan. It's going to be a full push to the breach. Oni's going to get too aggressive. He is now down, but he might not do anything as Crafty finds one, connects with a grenade, and now it's going to be 2. Or it's going to be 1-on-1 with 2 seconds left. Diffuser won't be planted. It's going to be Bone sprinting in, looking in every direction, but the wrong direction. And Pryde able to win off time.
Already we're seeing some big adaptations being made. I think if this was Villa, this is the last map, Pryde would have gone for the swing. They would have gone for the contest, but the call was made. Hold your ground, sit, and don't go for that gunfight. They win it on time. That's exactly what they need to be doing. Keep yourselves level-headed. Don't give in to that, the temptation to respond when your opponents are having a dig at you throughout that and the end of that first map, and even into the break as well. And already it's a good showing. It's good to see Pryde sticking with it here at the moment. 4 frags either way, as neither of the final players died, but Throne Armory now locked up. We head to Bunk Daycare. This is a bomb that is a little bit tenuous. Of the 14 rounds we've seen it played, 43% defender win rate, so that's got to be a little bit concerning.
That's slightly lopsided there, Blue, but maybe things have changed. Now, we have to keep in mind all of our statistics are from 2 different metas. The season started off with Utility Consumption Simulator, where the defenders were basically utilizing all their deployable shields, Jaegers and Wamais, and just zapping away attacker utility straight into the void. Now the new meta we're in, we're still in a utility-focused meta where utility is still important, but it's not as hard as it once was. It's not as hardcore and angry, where the defenders, if you don't waste utility, you don't win a round. And it's actually prompted for a different style of play where we see defenders getting more aggressive. They want to take gunfights, and I love that level of siege. And maybe since we're in a new meta of getting aggressive, we might see the defenders start to swing on the attackers more, and the attackers forcing their early gunfights. Salt's going to do a classic run out. He does this all the time. Exile will lose a little bit of HP, but he's still alive. That's the key aspect.
Well, I mean, you got to look at it one of 2 ways. Either one, he just missed out on a big opportunity, or 2, he did the damage they need to finish him off later on. So it really comes down to just how much Exile impacts this round. We will have to see. Bone at the moment, positioning, looking for any information, looking for verticality, sees the hatch open, but can't quite connect onto Crafty. Oh no, he does! Crafty doesn't even realize he was being shot at, so the damage that was initially dealt has been traded back. Both teams having a player that is currently less than full health at the moment. And we do see that extended spread as well. It might be Bunk Daycare, but they've extended over towards initiation offers as well, trying to cover as much ground as possible on the second floor. But with a minute burnt, they are starting to pressure Down2Earth with a big flash onto Oni. Can't see, white screened. From there though, they need to get control of Bakery Cafe. They need to push in, start to contest into some of these hallways, and from there they can look to execute.
Fortunately for the change for Down2Earth, they will not be the opening death. They'll be actually dishing out the opening death. And Novozo still has all of his utility. We hit 90 seconds, and you'd have thought that he put those air jabs throughout the map, putting them on staircases so the defenders cannot rotate. But that is not the case. And Bone, who started off this round in great fashion, has been felled because Crafty dropped the barrel's hat. He's in an awkward position. He should be cut down, and this is where Novozo's utility would be perfect. Exile will rectify that as he gets the kill. Crafty's flank will now no longer be able to find the impact that Pryde once desired. And this is going to rely heavily on the 3 remaining members of Pryde who are still back in their bomb site and have no utility other than those smoked toxic babes.
Less than a minute left to play. They've got avenues in. They're just trying to flush out the remaining defenders, get them into lines of sight so they can go for the Yusuke. He's going toe-to-toe, but loses out damage-wise. They know there's a player at the other end of the balcony as well, but they need to get in once. Smoke is left there for Exile. Look at Salt with the reposition here towards top yellow. Might be able to find the flank as they push in. Oh, he sees the pixel up ahead, but can't quite find it. Loses out instead. Yusuke goes down as a response, and Dylan is there for that one. Only finds Kojin. They are just neck and neck here at the moment, 2-2 with 15 seconds to play. Exile's in the bomb site. Could look to go and get that plant down, but they don't have diffuser. He gets felled. Oni again doubles up with that MP5. Devozo on his own, looking for it, finds the head of Dylan. All that needs to be done, Oni, you just need to run, my friend, and he will. They play the clock yet again. 2 rounds in a row. Pryde has won due to that 6th defender, the clock, and for some reason, Down2Earth has not been able to overcome it. So as much as the comments have been made in all chat, I mean, losing to the clock is just as bad for your mental if you're an attacker.
That was a heartbreaking position for Nooza to be in. He saw the down body of Salt, and he took a double take. He thought he was a threat. He didn't realize he was down but not out. He elected to take that gunfight, and he almost pre-fired the prone position, the last remaining member of Pryde. If he wasn't focused on Salt, he could have had bullets downrange and actually connecting with the last remaining member of Pryde, but it was a good showing by Down2Earth. They do a lot of things right, particularly in the first 90 seconds, and then they just start to skip steps. They get far too aggressive, and the diffuser was surrendered over in Cafe. Nobody from Down2Earth decided, you know what, maybe we should pick that up and try to grab that so we could at least attempt to play the objective. And as soon as they made the call to go for frags, it just slipped away from them far too quickly. Down2Earth needs to rectify how they're executing sub 60 seconds, because if they're constantly just YOLOing through doorways, they will never be able to win a round.
Well, I mean, hopefully they can buck that trend and get themselves in a little bit earlier, get themselves in position so they can actually execute onto the bomb site, because at the moment, they just have not been able to find that avenue. And we see some changes for the defense. Sam and Salt are still struggling. But they are still there. Amira coming in now for Sam could be a big change, especially for a bomb site like this. It does work very, very well from that top yellow position. Just depends on whether they can control it long enough. Salt on cams, just in cash at the moment, looking again for that run out. Last time round, wasn't able to confirm the kill, but it was enough to help Exile go down later in the round. Not quite going to find it, I don't think. And Yusuke, again, the first one in the building on the attack, as always, looking aggressively to push through, get upstairs, get control. Get some real pressure into the building. The rotate hole spotted. And from there, they can look to start transitioning.
I do like how Yusuke has been utilized on Down2Earth. His job is basically to take map control as quickly as possible, and then he sets up not necessarily on a flank watch, but on a real estate watch, where his job is to hold this particular part of the map until the execute comes. Bone's going to find another opening kill. It's going to be Crafty, who's the IGL support player playing a more aggressive role, tasked with the Jaeger. Oni's in a position to go for a run-out. He's going to melee barrels, and he's prompted to go. Exile is on the watch, though. So Oni, better not run out, or you're going to find yourself in a very bad position. And this is what I love about Down2Earth. They're prepared for every single contingency. We're talking about Yusuke holding a particular part of real estate, and it's going to give him a free kill. Now it's going to be the defenders, but Sam finds 2 lined up. They were too focused on the Maverick hole, and they lose their life. Defender has now been surrendered over in Cafe. This is going to force Down2Earth to rotate ASAP to grab it.
That is a huge flank. Sam with a massive opening for a third as well. Exile goes down, and for all the talk, all the smack being given, it's looking far closer than it had any right to be here for Down2Earth. Dylan will pull back to the bomb site. Plays it safe as Yusuke on the drone, looking to find the remaining player of this Pryde roster. There's a minute to play, so it's a much better position to be in. Dylan, does he know that Bone's there? Sorry, no, he doesn't. Down2Earth do get themselves on the board. Unfortunately, Dylan just not quite aware of the positioning there. Does get gunned down. And it is a round on the board, but after the last 2, could it be the only one Down2Earth getting this half? Because the defense for Pryde has been reasonably good.
I gotta question Dylan's motives there in the dying seconds of the round. He was just pushing in through kitchen. I know he wanted that map control, but I don't know why he wouldn't just sit on the site and waste time that way. I mean, he obviously saw something that prompted that to happen, and since we have retrospect on our side, we can say that wasn't the play. And speaking about wasn't the play, why on earth were there 2 members of Down2Earth looking at the same darn Maverick hole? I get Maverick was trying to trick the yellow wall to give them an extra bit of mobility and allow them to walk on the rafters behind yellow. Totally makes sense. I'm on board with that play. But why wasn't one of them covering the cafe door? Because the members of Pryde have been utilizing that yellow staircase as a highway throughout map 2, and you have to expect them to at least walk somewhere close to the door. Down2Earth needs to communicate where their players are and what they're holding better to find themselves not in the scenario they were in round 3.
Well, we'll see how it plays out now as we head back to Throne Armory. The first round of the map repeating itself now. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not the clock becomes a key factor in it yet again. Down2Earth. Last round was better. They got themselves into some big positions early on. They lost a few players on the way. Look at this, Salt again on the hunt, looking for a big kill. He's going to spot just enough that he spots 3, in fact. Nitro cell thrown. Oh, just a wee bit off and just a bit too deep, but he knows that there are many players over in this eastern spawn. So from there, they can look to get themselves ready. And Crafty down, looking to aggress from Gong could be interesting, but no, pulls off it, decides better of it. Now I can just play a little bit more passive. And it feels like potentially, yeah, just Pryde not quite sure whether to go on the front foot or wait for their opponents to come to them, because they're doing both at the same time in some of these rounds.
Salt's too aggressive over here on the cash side of the map. He was trying to get a kill based off micro positioning, which could work out for him. But Down2Earth is always constantly droning. They're sitting their utility down range, and the likelihood of you getting a kill like that is just too low. I would prefer Pryde to utilize their map positioning and their actual defensive setup instead of going for these miraculous hero plays. Speaking of that, Yusuke has now controlled the shower side. He's going to get a kill, and that's going to greatly hurt Pryde as they are trying to hold the top side of the map, and it's going to get even worse. Sam falling. This is going to force Crafty to rotate back downstairs and trying to hold the map through vertical nitro cells, which will not connect.
I think at this stage, on average for Theme Park, Salt and Sam have not managed to survive past the first half of a round combined. This is just bleak. Every single round it seems to be Salt and Sam going down somewhere on the map, and Oni as well going to be found bottom of Dragon Stairs by Navozo, leaving Dylan and Crafty anchoring on the bomb site, trying to hold off, but the Maverick trick is there. It's going to open up that wall into Workshop. What can they do? That is the real question here at this stage. Crafty is in connector, looking to play through the hatch, looking to try and stop the drop down, but there's just pressure mounting everywhere on the map for Down2Earth. 5 players still alive. This could be a flawless round here on Theme Park. His concussion's going deep. Dylan throws another toxic canister. He's desperately trying to slow it down. There we go. Crafty drop. And Dylan as well. Yusuke going absolutely huge. And Down2Earth take that away handily.
So map 1, we would see Pryde take the opening duel. They would end up winning round 1. And it seems to be a very similar story here on Theme Park. Pryde was able to take the first 2 rounds, and then all of a sudden Down2Earth starts to win more and more rounds. Now, we've only seen 4 rounds be played, but it seems like Down2Earth has this slowdown where it takes them a while to really learn and understand how a defense is operating, and sometimes they have to lose the rounds to make that lesson. But then as soon as they make that lesson, they start to actively apply it to how they're executing on map, how they're taking control. And it seems like Pryde is very rigid. They aren't changing things up, which works perfectly for Down2Earth because they're just learning so many things from Pryde throughout the course of a map.
Well, I mean, we're back even. 2-2, Chief. This defense, it started solidly for Pryde. They got 2 rounds on the board. Round number 3 went a bit awry, and then round number 4 just completely fell apart. Again, are we seeing that the toll that has been put on the shoulders of Dylan and Sam to carry the remainder of their team over this? Because Salt at the moment, no frags to his name. Dylan this time round is struggling. They have yet to win an opening gunfight as well here on Theme Park. There's just something that is not connecting here for Pryde, unfortunately.
Well, sometimes their shots connect, but only on certain individuals. But honestly, the scoreboards, I think, says it all. Their shots aren't connecting. Salt has been relegated to playing an SMG-11 shotgun role because he's just losing his gunfights. He is constantly put in on islands where he's out in the middle of the open. There's no way for him to retreat. I think that's his own doing. You can see that Pryde wants to rely on his mechanical skill, which is great because he is a true mechanical god. He will slam most players in every scenario. But Down2Earth is just, well, outstratting him. They're putting him in positions where mechanical skill will never win a gunfight. It's because Down2Earth utilizes multi-angle crossfires. There's attackers pushing from every possible way, and it doesn't really matter how good you are. You're never going to win multiple attackers shooting you from every single possible angle. Now, Down2Earth is a little bit quicker on this attack. They have identified that pushing in through Cafe did not work out well for them at all, and they're going to utilize the East as their primary insertion point.
Well, they're all stacked up top Dragon. Kojin sees that they've pulled back. They have pulled out well and truly. They're all going outside, repositioning to elsewhere on the map. Crafty pushing in. He's got control room here at the moment. I don't believe they have any idea that he is there, in fact. And Navozo might just wander into an absolute death trap. Does he see that there's someone there? Does he even check his corners? No, he doesn't. Crafty with the freest kill of his career does take the opening gunfight in favor of Pryde for the first time this map. And that is flank watch. I believe, if I was correct, that Novo's got the majority of air jabs down. Only finds Yusuke as well. That is going to be crippling to the attack of Down2Earth.
The worst part about that play for Down2Earth, there was a drone basically in the middle of CCTV, and Crafty saw that it wasn't occupied, so he decided to just push deeper into the site. He knew he was free there, and he just sat back, relaxed, and got a free kill. Now Coach is going to try the exact same endeavor. He will lose his life, and it seems like the east side of the map was the burial ground. We saw Down2Earth attempting to make a rotation. They wanted to do a two-pronged assault, partly from the west on the cafe side of the map, but the rotation just came too slowly, and the critical component was the diffuser was temporarily surrendered. Exile has now picked it back up, but he is so far separate from Bone, his last remaining teammate. They're going to have to attempt to push together. Bone's really only option is to swing in through this window. Oni will get the audio cue of that, and he can swing that door frame back to answer it up. And the player of the defense should always have that advantage because of how you swing into a map. It just changes up your reticle placement. 15 seconds left in the clock. Down2Earth is going to have to go for their push, and they're just waiting for the clock to click down. Time is not on their side. This round has already been surrendered by Down2Earth. It really doesn't matter how these kills roll on through. Oni's going to pad his stats. Exile is going to sit back, relax, and not die.
I mean, it's Down2Earth playing a smart game. They realize that things went terribly wrong there. They say, look, we've got this much time left in the round. Let's sit outside. Let's talk about it. If we get a frag, we get a frag. If not, we don't need to over-aggress. Give us as much time to figure out what is going wrong here. And Chief, that is the third round. Every single one of Pryde's wins has been on the clock. That presents an interesting situation. Once we see that half switch, once they end up on the attack, they can't rely on the clock to be their friend anymore. In fact, they have to work against it themselves. That's concerning. If they are taking that much time, if they're not winning their gunfights, this could be their last ditch effort to get some significant rounds on the board, because the second half could find them few and far between.
I really liked that Jackal that they were teasing. It would have been a great operator at dealing with the offsite pressure of Pryde. And also we were seeing the Buck be played. And sure, Buck is a strong operator. He is acting as the sledge. But if you're bringing out the Jackal, you do have that pocket shotgun that you can basically be the pseudo Buck. You can open up the vertical holes. When you're going for your Maverick tricking, well, you could still use that shotgun to open up those Maverick holes and actually give you an avenue into your bomb site. But Ayana is also a strong pick. She increases your drone economy. She also brings an additional set of frag grenades. And since Sledge, again, was the banned operator from Pryde, seems like Down2Earth wants to bring out more explosive utility, because when you have a frag grenade in Exile's hands, he tends to connect them quite frequently.
Well, they are looking to get themselves that even 3-3 split. And it could be the tool that does it. No mute on the board, so it means they have one less thing to worry about. Salt, though, is below. Again, Salt really just not shining in this matchup. Really struggling so far today to have any real impact on the board. This pulse, though, could give him an avenue, could look to play around those nitro cells. Given that there's no IQ on the board, the droning, though, has been rather clean, so he is going to have to keep his ears open so that he knows that they are looking for that information. Already, though, these drones are so deep into the building. They're getting so much information, not to mention that Gemini replicator, which is now going to be running around, feeding positions through. You see Down2Earth early, consistently getting control. Top Dragon, they can look to pressure above, clear out those roamers, sweep in onto the bomb site. And there's a lot of work that now needs to be done. Crafty kicks things off, takes down Yusuke. Again, another key frag early on. Sam almost finding another just an inch off the head. Means the kill does not go down, but they are really, really threatening right now.
I was liking the attack for Down2Earth at the very start of it. They had a perfect position to open up the eastmost wall of Armory, but too many of their members are starting to drop, and it's all being facilitated by Salt. He has that built-in wall hacks from his cardiac sensor. He calls the location of a Down2Earth member, and one of the Pryde rosters will say, you know what, I want that kill. It belongs to me, and they land their bullets true. Down2Earth is now going to have to fight at the man disadvantage, but that 6-pick might work out very well for him. We're highlighting Exile with his additional holograms. He can send them down range, confirm where those defenders are, and then plan to execute on the fly. And the work that Pryde did at the start of this round is starting to slip away from them.
They've got the angles, though, to cover this defense. Sam as well, over in the bathroom by Drug, could come in for a pinch and really upset the momentum here for Down2Earth. Stun grenade being thrown to Bozo. First one gets eaten by an ADS. Second one does connect. Frag grenade follows it up. There's no one in the back corner. It's still holding tight in throne with the M590. Another eaten stun grenade there, denying the potential of a white screen. Sam's pulled back into the bomb site, rushing in. Exile goes down. So does Nervoso. Dylan gets a return, and so does Sam, and all of a sudden, it's back to a 1 versus 1. 24 seconds on the clock. Crafty, 1 point of health, does go down. Bone clutches it up. Down2Earth take a 3-3 half, and the old chat starts.
There's a reason why Bone has the command in chat. It's !Bone. He has deserved it time and time again. And Bone is the most consistent player probably this entire league. He never misses his shots. And sometimes he plays a little bit passive and, dare I refer to it, bait his teammates. But no, that is never the case. He is just so good. When you need him to step up, when you need him to win gunfights, the man clicks heads. And oh, poor Coach is having a little struggle bus here in map 2. Now, he tends to be the support player, put on islands where he's forced to trick out walls, and he's never in a position really to get kills. That's not a fault to his own. That is just how Down2Earth utilizes him. He's still probably one of the best support players in this game, and also probably one of the most consistent support players here in Storm Competitive Series.
Well, it's not like they're in a position where they are down multiple rounds. They're now hitting with the defense as well for Cafe. This is a change. This is an aggressive mirror set up for Throne Armory. I mean, it's not what you usually see from teams. You want to lock them out of Workshop as long as possible, and I think this is directly to counter the Maverick that is available in the pool. So the question then becomes, can Pryde figure this out? Can they overcome this? Because if this is a strategy that if a team is caught unawares, is just going to be an absolute slaughterhouse.
5 seconds to go.
I do love this mirror window. Good luck overtaking the eastmost wall of Throne. You're going to have to challenge mirrors, and we've all known that mirror windows are incredibly oppressive. And the one between the two bomb sites is even better. This is going to allow the defenders to watch if any members of Pryde rotate to the deep side of the throne room. That's also going to give it an avenue to throw those nitro cells and actively deny the plant. And the bad part for Pryde is they elected to not bring an ace. Instead, they're going to be bringing the Maverick as their hard breacher, couple that with the Habana. If you had an ace in play, you can bring out those smoke grenades and actively deny the mirror windows without destroying it. Now, you do, since you have the X-Kyro pellets, you could send those X-Kyro pellets on the mirror windows, but that's going to be a little bit more of a high-risk strategy because you're going to have to challenge the mirror window with your breaching launcher in hand instead of gun up.
Well, Xkara is already going out, so I think they've done the legwork to start opening things up here, but frag grenade being deep, throwing deep, sorry, over towards that mirror window. Lands in front of it, the second one lands deeper and in behind it, but again, still not enough to deal with this window. They haven't dealt with the evil eye either that's in position. This is... look, this is disheartening. That's the only way to say it. They've lost their explosive utility. They have no way to deal with the cam. Sam and Salt are going to take damage from below. They get some vertical control, but realistically, they can't get in through Workshop. They're going to get one of the windows, but that is about it. Nitro Cell from Kojin takes down Crafty. They've got even less hard breach. In fact, all their hard breach is now off the board. Players tagged up, no control of the diffuser. I said this strategy could be a real slaughterhouse if they weren't able to deal with it, and they have not had a chance.
What is frustrating to me is Crafty, the IGL of Pryde. He just wants to butt his head against the strategy of Down2Earth. He's identified the mini games, and he's playing right into the hands of Down2Earth. When you're an IGL and you start to learn how many games are being played, you have the option of changing up and basically doing something the defenders will not expect. But things are getting a little bit better for Pryde. They were able to bring it back to an equal man count. Bone will shut that down. And there we go. Back and forth between these two teams, working out perfectly. And there's still enough time in this round for both of these rosters to win. But the HP advantage is in favor of Down2Earth. The onslaught's going to continue over to the east side. Everybody's peeking Bone. He is built differently. Kojin is going to find the scoreboard. And Down2Earth able to save round 7 off a unique strategy.
There we go. Another round being taken here by Down2Earth. It was Throne Armory, which, I mean, it can be a very, very tough bomb site to hold. But the strategy was just solid. They contested into Workshop. They made it harder. I don't know whether this is more of that mental game coming out. Lab Storage coming through. It has had a few appearances this season, so it's not unheard of. But look at that Bone. 13-2-2 going into round number 8. The guy is just on another level here today. This best of 5, he's really just been playing all over it. Crafty changing things up. They are going for the Monty play, which, I mean, even with a big French shield operator in the way, is that enough to stem the tide?
Actually, in professional play, we've been seeing this quaternary bomb site be utilized a lot. And most teams are just expanding deep into Throne Armory and holding as much map real estate as possible. Because if you're an attacker, the only option you have is clear out the defenders or send it through the westmost window of cache. The latter of those options, it has worked for teams. It has worked for teams the T1 level all the way down to T3. It is one of those YOLO high-risk strategies that you just have to identify with your drone work, and it's going to stem from the fact that your drone work has said, you know what, the defenders are all off-site. They're still doing a really slow setup, so we can send it through this window right now. There are drones in sight on the side of Pryde, and Novozo is the only one there. So this is one of those opportunities where a rush could work out perfectly, but you'd have to plan it during the prep phase. You'd have to be flying through a window right now. Pryde has lost the window of a rush, which means their only option is to clear the map methodically and actively identify the mini games and break down the mini games, which Pryde struggled with in round 7.
I mean, look, the biggest issue of the map like theme park is it's so far spread. There's so much ground that you have to cover to like properly clear out any real roam threat. And you see the setup, it's extended. They've got mute jammers in position. They've got information denial. They've got stall tools. Not to mention those 2 nitro cells, and well, Bone is really just proved to be a force unto his own at the moment. I hardly call him worth a single play. He's probably worth 3 or 4 at this stage. And Crafty just pushing through as they look to open things up and trying to give themselves some lines of sight to actually contest here. Crafty is enthroned. He's going to spot the first one. Jammer is there, crouching up on him, pistol out. Can he get the kill? Shield redeployed, he sees 2. If he can just find a sliver of an angle, nitro cell thrown, it's in front of him, but Salt goes down to Yusuke. That 416 carbine is just a real threat. Bone almost taken out there by Crafty, and yet another explosion. means that he is on a sliver of health. In fact, Bone at the moment, even after taking 3 pistol shots, is still healthier. So any drop in that shield is going to be disastrous right now.
This is quite a unique round. We're talking about Pryde breaking down mini games, and Monty has done a strong job at that. But Pryde isn't covering the Monty at all. They know Bone is in this position. He's allowed to constantly exist here. And same thing with Exile, holding the cross on his teammates, and things are starting to really crumble for Pryde. There's only 2 of their roster left, and all like that. Everybody falls. It's a flawless round for Down2Earth 2. What a round. It was looking so strong and just slipped away.
Yeah, I mean, they had the tools, let's be honest. They had the tools to get themselves in towards the bomb site, but unfortunately, as soon as they met resistance, 2 players were able to hold off the entirety of this Pryde roster. Now we're going to be heading up to Bunk Daycare, which has largely been a more successful site for the majority of teams. You've got to wonder just how much Pryde have left in the tank at the moment. The consistent all chat coming out from Down2Earth. Nothing overtly toxic, but it's still gonna chip away at the defenses there. It's also a best of 5, so even if they do take this map, even if they do take us past 3 games, it's a long haul.
And Down2Earth, the old In Control Nation roster, I should say, has been in this situation before, leading the series and actually going over to Theme Park. And then all of a sudden, they got a little bit too careless. They started to play too aggressive. They thought it was going to be a cakewalk after this, and they ended up letting the series slip away from them. So they still have to be very careful and keep in that competitive mindset. And if I were to be critical of Down2Earth for anything, it would be exactly that. Sometimes they have just a little bit too much fun playing this game, and they forget about the competitive element. Because, sure, you have to enjoy what you're doing, you have to have fun with what you're doing, but if you lose the thought and the strategy in that endeavor, you can start to make some serious mistakes.
It's really something you can't afford to be doing here at the moment. 5-3, Down2Earth. Need 2 more to take us to our 3rd map and push them onto series season point, honestly. And with the way things are going, there's just glaring questions that need to be answered here. Dylan really not showing up as much as we've seen him do previously on this 2nd map. Salt as well, really just being absolutely handled by Down2Earth. So, can they overcome those deficits? Salt, no, unfortunately can't. Yusuke takes him down again. 2 rounds in a row, 2 rounds where Yusuke has taken that opening gunfight. They are just continually, relentlessly hitting them with the all chat.
Code, Nevo, absolutely gnarly in all chat. And sometimes, you know, you gotta fight every battle you can. Crafty's gonna start working his way through the control wall as bullets whiz over his head. He has to be very careful when he goes for this prone, because Yusuke himself can also prone and start to damage the also crucial hard breacher. Now, fortunately for Pryde, they have multiple hard breachers, and Crafty has done his job. He's opened up the construction wall, or the con wall, and that's going to be an avenue into the extension. Bone is on an island, but he's still able to win his gunfight. It's going to be very difficult for him to rotate away. Exile will be down and now found. So Pryde's in a stronger position than they once were, but not exactly in the end-all, be-all, until Sam does exactly that. We were critical of him earlier, but he might have just saved his roster's life.
Oh boy, he's trying to clap back, but no, they're still 2 rounds down in a map entirely. And they are not relenting. That was not the play, I don't think, Sam. You need to win yourself the round before you can start talking like that. Hell, you need to win yourself a map before you can start talking like that. There's just under a minute left to play, and it is Navozo and Kojin still alive. They still have the tools they need to defend this. They're not even in the bomb site just yet. So the 3 remaining players, none of whom have drones either, have to win those gunfights, and Navozo sees the first one. Oni did not deserve to walk away with his life there, but does somehow. So they will at least start moving in towards the bomb site a little bit further. They still got 3 guns in hand. Navozo going to be hit with a concussion. Still looking for it, but can't find it. Oni shoots him down. And now it's all in the hands of Kojin.
17 seconds left. The attacker is strong man advantage. They're going to be able to push on through. The concussion grenades of Sam have isolated the final. Remember, Kojin is now fallen, and Pryde, a strong round victory. And it seems like Down2Earth did everything right, holding control room for as long as possible. They wasted time, they won their gunfights, and then they decided to bring up all chat. And you can see that mental shift that we were just talking about, where they're like, we're going to go away from the staged roam. I just want to start to pad my stats. And Pryde is also a mechanically gifted team. If you put them in a strong position to win a gunfight, they will always win those. And also, remember, when you're a defender, your job is to take 80-20 split gunfights, which means you have an 80% chance of winning. Bone is finding himself in 50-50 gunfights a little bit too often. Now, it's Bone, and he does win those, but he just shouldn't be in those positions.
I mean, I actually, yeah, the majority of them have been 50-50. I think at the moment, the gunfights that Salt's taking would be the opposite end of that scale, the 20 of the 100% there. Because, I mean, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 times in this 10-round map, he has been the unwitting victim of an opening gunfight, and they have not gone well at all. In fact, they've as a team, Pryde has only won 2 opening gunfights this map, which is a glaringly terrifying prospect to behold. And coming into this, we see Down2Earth, they're bringing something a little bit different. Ella and Alibi making their way in. Bone going to be running around with the Polish operator on the defense, the Scorpion. I would imagine it's what he has. He might have the FO12. He could have any number of things. The way that he's been playing at the moment, this game is really just his playground. At the moment, there's a lot of tools for Down2Earth to stall, disrupt, discombobulate this Pryde roster, and the last round at least was a reprieve, but they still need one more to tie things up.
And the scoreboard is also a great storyteller in itself. We basically see the duo roam of Bone and Yusuke doing the heavy lifting, and everybody else in this lobby is a little bit quiet. Now Sam and Oni are starting to work their way closer to double digits, and I guess you can say the other 6 members of this lobby are just on the struggle bus. It might be because of strategy. They're not in positions where they're designed to get gunfights, and the roam pressure is, but that's going to have to change drastically for Pryde. They're going to need to start to win more of these opening duels, particularly here on the roam clear. Now, Down2Earth has set up everything to allude to the fact that they are roaming on that topmost floor. However, that is actually not the case. They put all their manpower down on this first floor, and they're going to be trying to deny with nitrous cells. The first one will connect. Salt will be the opening death another time.
For the 3rd round in a row. I hate to dig the guy like that, but it just consistently rough showings, consistently falling to opening gunfights with no chance at a reprieve. At least Oni, though, this time round will get a trade back. Exile going down, so unfortunately it's too late to have that nitro cell taken off the board, but at least it is a player now relegated to camera duty. 4 versus 4 is time. It's still there. Pryde have the opportunity, but you look at the bullet holes here for Navozo. He's sitting in tellers. Might be able to do some real damage if he can catch someone unawares. Crafty just working from barrel to open up that wall. Not quite just yet. And Sam waiting in the wings to blow it open with the impact. Coach and Bone on the bomb site, anchoring hard with Yusuke over an armor. You look at it. It's the line in the sand. It's like watching a dodgeball match. On one side, you got Pryde. They're over by Arcade and Barrel, and then on Down2Earth side of things, they are ready and waiting to receive.
Well, at least they've opened up barrels. It's going to be an avenue into the bomb site, and the attackers still have utility to destroy the deployable shield that Bone is hiding behind. He's going to be forced to relocate altogether as there's frag grenades whizzing over his head, but the attackers are going to have to still fatal funnel until Oni makes his rotation. Now, Bone is stuck in 180-degree crossfire. He's been identified by the Prisma and now has fallen because of that free information. Bone has changed up his avenue of attack. The vector might be perfect enough, at least the vector angle that he has. And there we go. Kojin on the flank in a perfect situation. Things are starting to crumble for Pryde. There's only 2 of them left, but Dylan's is still in this lobby. He's so all crucial. Whenever he needs, he steps up. Sam is now down. It's going to be on Down2Earth. Shuts down Dylan, entering the bomb site and the clock. And that Wub Wubs will be his demise. Down2Earth finds themselves the match point.
One round away from taking us to coastline here, Chief. Down to Earth have just had the answer every single round. They have had the tools. They have had Pryde's number. We saw them here on the last map. They were able to bring it back one round at least. Pryde took it to a 5-6, unfortunately, before it went 7-5 in the favor of Down to Earth. And as we head to lab storage, this is, again, another key round. Pryde, they need to take it. Well, they're so close. Once again, it is 2 players of the 5 for Pryde that are stepping up. This time it's Oni, not Dylan, who, again, is really, really struggling. And, oh, my Lord, okay. You know how I talked about digging the knife in and twisting it mentally? Yeah, that one just went through Pryde's eye.
Yeah, that one kind of hurt, Billy. I'm not gonna lie. That one hurt me, and I'm not even playing in the server right now. Oh no. Okay, boys. Let's get away from all chat for the time being, and let's just focus on the server. My Lord, Pryde.
Man, anyone would think that Salt was on Down to Earth.
Man. But okay, so all jokes aside for what's going on, all of these players are friends. They all know each other well enough. So none of this is meant to be malicious. I think we need to put this out there. They're not trying to be, terrible human beings. They're just trying to win the game by utilizing every single element of competition. I mean, even if you watch traditional sports, Blue, it comes down, you'll hear people, talking crap to each other. When I was playing water polo, when you line up, you talk crap to each other, and that was just kind of the game. You didn't hate the guy, you just had one job. It was to win, and you're gonna win at every single cost. You're gonna leave nothing on the table because you want to win this darn championship.
I mean, to be fair, water polo is a brutal sport.
That is true.
It is. I went to university with a guy who played water polo, and he swore up and down that it was one of the most violent sports in the world. So I don't think necessarily comparing water polo to some sledging and chat is quite the same thing, because you're more likely to get your nose broken in the pools and on the theme park at the moment. But I mean, yeah, it's all part of the game. Mental edge is such a key thing here. And Down to Earth have just been hitting that mental edge button every opportunity they can. And unfortunately, that button is squarely on Salt's forehead at the moment. And, well, first minute burnt through. Pryde, they've taken a slightly more delayed approach to this round. They know that they need to get this one and the next on the board to push to OT and Infinite OT. So it could be a long one. In fact, I believe this is probably the longest Salt has survived in a round, if I am correct.
I believe you're correct, and that pains me to say so, because we haven't even hit the halfway mark. He is alive, which means he can utilize his utility. Those Malusi Wubwubs have now been dropped. And this is the importance of maybe not utility consumption simulator, but the derivative that we currently find ourselves in. Offsite pressure over has now been dealt with, as Yusuke might have been attempting to rotate back into his bomb site. So that's going to put Pryde in a strong position, but Bone is going to make it even stronger for his defending roster. He has now dealt with the air jabs, and he's working his way on a flank. Too often our teams laser focused on those air jabs, thinking that they'll work out perfectly for him, and there's the flank from Bone.
Bone, he does get the first, but is refragged out Oni again there. Salt gets his second of the map on to Navozo, shutting down the haters. Leaves it all to Kojin and Exile. Oni goes down to the older 5.56 of Exile there. So it's only one man differential, sorry. 30 seconds left to play. Kojin holding on for dear life, but it doesn't matter when you're standing above a frag grenade. Crafty there as well, chiming in for another. Exile at the moment, he's in barrel, so could swing in. Big box mag could be the one to shut it down, but there's players above. Stun goes out, he's going to run the other way. Surely going to give away his position. He might even get dropped on here. He's down in arcade. Will he be spotted from above? There was a player there, but I think, yeah, they pulled off over towards the bakery, sitting above. Exile's just slowly walking his way. It goes for a bit of a 360. Looking to play around the still there. Goes for it. Gets the shots on the Salt, but doesn't kill him. Crafty does get the kill. And Chief, same as map number 1. They have taken one back on the second to last round of regulation time. If they can get one more, it pushes us to OT here. They might be able to go the distance and make it their own.
Man, all chat is just becoming more and more interesting to say the least. Down to Earth did a lot of things right, but at the same time, they were far too passive. This is the first round where they didn't actively hunt for the opening kill. Seems to be Yusuke. He's always positioned in a way to deny entry into the map. This time, he was positioned over in the actual bomb site itself, so no staged roam. And that's something else I think it's very important to highlight, is the defenders are constantly utilizing these staged roams, where they're expanding their bomb sites out, they're sniping drones away, and as it gets closer and closer to the final execute, well, the defenders themselves are going to get closer to the final execute and back to their bomb site simply because they've wasted enough time on the other side of the map. They no longer necessarily need to hold that map real estate. But as we go over to their tertiary bomb site over here on the opposite side of the map, this could be a strong position for Pryde. They don't have to clear a lot of map real estate, something that they've been struggling on.
They really have been, but as we head to the final round of regulation time, potentially the final round of this map, depending on how it does play out. Initiation office. It's a bomb site that has been won so far by Down2Earth, and it's one appearance so far. Yeah, it's only been here one time so far, Chief. So we'll see how Down2Earth look to play it. The setup is looking good. Last time we were here, it was Crafty playing from control room, a real upsetting force. Wasn't quite able to win that round out, but definitely a nuisance. And the last round's approach coming from Pryde was much more convincing.
Actually, I love what Down2Earth has done here. They've brought out all 4 defensive bomb sites. They're trying to change up Pryde. And Pryde is going to answer that back with a very quick execute. They've confirmed the entire west side of the map is not being occupied, and they're just going to push their way on through. Bone has been dealt with relatively quickly. A bad vault by him has cost him his life. He's been an instrumental player. He will be unable to participate in this round, and that 17 frags he's worked so hard to obtain will have to be quieted. But Pryde still has a lot more checklists to work their way through. There has been defenders working their way on the other side of the map, and now over by break room. Nevo finds one with its SMG-11, and that is now Salt fell.
Well, hey, look, he's true to form, if nothing else. And at the moment, there's still plenty of time for Pryde to work with. They do have to deal with some of those Banshees. Losing out on Salt is going to make that a little bit hard, but at least they have Sam. They do have the frag grenades in the hands of Crafty as well, so they do have room to work with. They now are going to be able to get that mirror window under their own control as well. So that is something that is going to work out in their favor. But tucked into the corner, it is going to be Exile just inside Bunk. Can he stop the push? Can he find a frag? Yusuke there in break room as well. Oni's going to take some damage, so is Dylan, but it's Navozo to find Oni. Swinging and Crafty gets a return, but Dylan dies as well at the hands of Yusuke. 3-2. As we are 2 deaths away from heading to our 3rd map of this series. Yusuke finds one of them. It's all in the hands of Crafty now. He's got that M4. He's going to swing in. No, he can't do it. Yusuke shuts it down once again. Down2Earth deny Pryde at the finish line. They will go into map 3 with a 2-map advantage. If they win the 3rd, we are done for the day.
And I have to say, Pryde is putting on a strong showing to take Down2Earth, one of the favorite teams to win the entire season. Taking them to 7-5 multiple times is quite an accomplishment. But to be successful as a roster, you have to play as a roster. You have to have all 5 of your players firing on the exact same wavelength. The moment you start to have some instability with that fire rate, well, you just won't be able to be successful. You need your entry fraggers to hold your weight. You need your flex players to hold their weight, and you need your support players to hold your weight. And right now, Pryde, they're just tipping the scales a little bit too much.
Yeah, it's definitely been a little bit lackluster on the whole. Not everyone is tying up to the line at the moment. And Keg, welcome back.
Hello.
It's again, we almost didn't get to see you. We almost had to go a little bit longer, but welcome back. Map number 2's done.
Yeah, I mean, Theme Park wasn't as explosive as I thought it was going to be. I thought that was going to be the map that we would go into, like, you know, quadruple overtime like we have on previous semifinals. But, You know, the first half of the matchup was really back and forth between Pryde and Down2Earth, but suddenly, when the sides changed, it seems like Down2Earth just kind of downloaded everything that Pryde wanted to do. Panda, what exactly happened on Theme Park? We thought this was going to be crazy.
I mean, again, it was, I talked about it at the first map. It was 2 players stepping up big and the rest of the team not quite stepping up to match them. Yes, Crafty got up there in the end, so it was 3 players who were carrying it, but unfortunately, yeah, that's not a situation you are going to have a good time in. Salt still really struggling to start that process of coming online and really impacting the map. And Down2Earth, they just had an answer for everything that Pryde was doing throughout the entire run of the map. Going into the half even, it was still the momentum heavily in their favor.
And that seems like a commonality between these 2 maps so far, is that Down2Earth Chief just has an answer for every single thing that Pryde brings out.
And it's the ability for, you know, Down2Earth, as you said, it kind of download information throughout a round. They're constantly gathering new things that Pryde is doing. They archive that in their storage base, and then when they run into something similar to it or derivative of it, they're able to create a counter strategy on the fly. And I've been very complimentary of Crafty as an IGL because he does have the ability to IGL like that, learn from his opponents, create counter strategies on the fly, and then execute brilliantly. Today, though, he has been a little bit lackluster on that primary leadership role, but playing the primary support, going 9 and 10, that's still an accomplishment. One of the best fraggers on this roster, so he should have his chin up for his mechanical skill at least.
It's been very impressive to see so far from everybody on both teams, but you're completely right about the entry from Sam. It's been really good. Crafty's been amazing as well, but there just isn't as many entry kills that we see from anyone on Pryde compared to Down2Earth. It just seems like the scoreline for those, you know, those kills on Down2Earth's side has just been superior throughout the last 2 maps.
Look, I'm just still here trying to process the stats that are currently in front of me on my screen. I think it was possible somehow Salt has dropped in rating between the 2 maps. So I think if something needs to change, it's definitely how he plays. 0-5 on the entry. If I'm, you know, Pryde, you cannot be coming at it critically. You need to bolster your teammate. You need to get behind them, back your boys, reset. Again, it's a fresh map. You're coming into this. You treat it as if it is an isolated thing. You're coming into Coastline, that's it, you lose, you're out. You treat it as a best of 1 situation. You just need to full mental reset, go back to your basics, figure out what you need to come into this map, and then start running with it.
Well, speaking of mental resets, I mean, we do have map 3 coming up, but what about the bigger picture? And I mean, it's hard to get more of a bigger picture than the grand finals of Season 4, right? But Panda, Chief, what about Season 5? That's going to be even more amazing. We're going to have open qualifiers, 2 of them no less, and then closed qualifiers as well. Of course, I've said this once, I'll say it again. We have open qualifiers from February 3rd to the 5th, and open qualifiers from the 10th to the 12th. It's the Swiss system. You're probably used to it from a bunch of other leagues that you've seen in Siege, but it's going to be unlimited teams. Once again, if you think you can beat out Down2Earth, well, good luck with that one. But you might have a chance of doing so. Go sign up with you and your buddies. You have a chance. You have unlimited amounts of teams for each open qualifier, but only 10 of them are going to advance. And from what I've heard, rumor on the street is that there's already a lot of teams signed up, so the competition's going to be fierce. But if you guys think that you can beat them out, you might be ranked stars, but can you be the stars of Season 5? Well, you went out in the open qualifiers, only 10 of you guys, or 10 of those teams can advance. But from there, out of the 22 teams in the closed qualifiers, only 10 of those are going to remain. So the numbers get chopped down more and more and more and more until we get to those top 10 teams from the closed that go all the way to the actual season of Season 5 of SCS. No fat when it comes to the teams, no craziness like it has been past seasons with teams disbanding or dropping, hopefully. But that just means the competition will be some of the most fierce competition you've ever seen in T2, and who knows, maybe even something above T3 or T2, you never know. But Stage 1 of the actual season will be 5 weeks long. 12 of those teams will be participating in 2 groups with best of 2s every single week. But the top 4 teams from each of those groups will be advancing to Stage 2, where it's only going to be 3 weeks long, but even more fierce of competition, with 8 of those teams going to double elimination best of 3s, and then we'll be getting to a grand finals like you see right here tonight. Ooh-wee. Oh, and beautiful. Look at the talent there. We got some beautiful talent like C-Daps, Jay-Z Wills, Sticula, myself, Lynx Crow, Jasmine, Cherish, Blue Panda, and Chief. All the amazing casters you've seen in Season 4 so far, but that is just the beginning. Season 5 is going to be stacked to the brim. Amazing players, talent, and production. But speaking of those talents, Chief, Panda, we got a map to cover soon.
Yes,
Yeah,
we do.
it's my favorite one too. Sorry, Chief, I
Really?
gotta cut you off. It's Coastline. I love casting Coastline. It makes for some of the greatest highlight plays because you don't have to go deep into the strategy book. It's about sheer gunplay. Whoever can click heads the best is more likely than not going to be the winner on this map.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Panda, because we saw Coastline win the semifinals, and it turned out to be probably the third longest competitive Rainbow Six match of all time. Sometimes it's TDM, but sometimes it can be very, 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 very long.
See, the thing is, I like about Coastline is it is fast paced, but also what I don't like about it is people think, oh, you know what? The only thing we know how to do on this map is click heads. That's our whole strategy. And Coastline does have a lot of strategy. It has a lot of team play. You have to know where your teammates are. You have to swing together. So if the attackers are pushing from one area, they have control of office. If you're a solo roamer by security, you're going to get fried in that spot. You have to have somebody helping you if you're a roamer. But the opposite side of the coin, if you're solo pushing on attack, you're going to get absolutely fried. You have to play together as a unit. If you are separate by yourself, playing as an individual on an island, you're not going to live.
So what I'm hearing is this map will be the battle of the attackers.
It tends to be the case. Now, in professional play, we recently saw this map technically go 50-50. So it isn't necessarily attacker-sided. And when we watch this map play out, it seems to be some teams are going, 5-1 in attack, and other teams are going 5-1 in defense. But who cares about theory crafting and projections? Let's actually dive into Coastline. Bye, Max. It's time to start our lovely map.
Coastline, I mean, look, hey, you don't have to throw strategy out the window. You just don't have to lean on it as heavily as some other maps. So there is a strategic portion to this map, but it's largely down to positioning rather than initial setup. So it's going to be interesting to see where this ban does take us. And Ace going to be taken out early yet again. One of the hard breaches that you would bring on this map, the ranged hard breach of the Selmas, plus that AK-12, it's an absolute hose. So it makes a lot of sense here. Pryde, are we going to see the same reversion? Are we going to see Sledge and Wemai taken off the board yet again? Entirely possible, but there are, I think, more imminent threats on the board.
I would be shocked if the Sledge rolled on through. Well, consider myself shocked. Sledge is a good operator. You can utilize him on kitchen. You can remove the ceiling. But I would figure that we would see something else be removed. Maybe the Thatcher, maybe even a Blackbeard, which has been removed in the previous time we saw this map. Honestly, the world's the oyster for these rosters, and clearly the oyster is comprised of Sledges.
There we go. Slight deviation nowhere, mate. It's going to be a Pulse instead. So, the first time this series that we have seen Pryde deviate from what they have traditionally been doing. Down2Earth, they will have the final ban. Do we see Mira taken away, given that they are now starting on the defense? It's going to be a Valkyrie. So, once again, Mira, which proved a pretty significant hurdle for Pryde in that last theme park map, is going to be on the table.
Now, Mira placements are usually more important downstairs or on your extension from kitchen up into theater, where you put that mirror window facing into master bedroom and denying the guitar door. We've been seeing that a lot in professional play.
Chief, Salt's out. EJ's in. We have a substitution.
Oh, wait, what?
I feel bad. I feel bad now. I'm so sorry, Salt. I didn't mean to dog you, but I mean, look, he has been struggling. This is probably a solid call. Obviously, something's not clicking for him right now. Bring him out. Chuck in EJ. See how he does. If it doesn't work, go back to Salt. But yeah, something definitely needed to change.
Oh, that breaks my heart, honestly, Billy. Like, Salt is such a good player. He's a mechanically gifted player. Normally, he just guns. And I don't know if he's just nervous today, this being his first big grand final. I am not sure if, he has some personal factors that are, clouding his mind, just making him not play at his highest level. Because Salt deserves to be in this grand finals. His roster deserves to be in this grand finals. So it just kind of breaks my heart to see this happening. But obviously the analyst EJ saw something that needed to be made. Actually, I just got a message from Grade, I apparently missed earlier, that they were making this substitute early on due to personal issues. So sometimes things happen. We forget that, you know, the players and the servers aren't just, you know, dancing monkeys for entertainment. They are individuals who breathe, eat, and have feelings.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but honestly, it's probably for the best. The last thing you want is being down, you know, in that situation, and to only compound it by just forcing yourself to keep going. So EJ now, and we'll see what he can bring to the table here for this Pryde roster. We see the line, which is a very, very popular pick on a map like Coastline. You see it coming out more often than not, plus that buck. So the reverse sledge, I suppose, because he can be used from below. But I mean, 30 seconds or 40 seconds burnt now. They've got some information. Drones are deep into the bomb site. You got pressure from below. Oni having picked up the mantle of the Ash for himself here. They are getting a lot of vertical pressure. They're looking to make it hard to hold on to this bomb site. Key distinction as to whether or not they can get in, though. You've got an Echo on the board. You've got the Malusi Banshees. There is going to be tools to try and make it that much harder.
You know, something that we didn't mention before, Blue, is the fact that EJ was actually scheduled to play in this game. Dylan was supposed to work today. He got off work early today. So EJ has been warmed up, at least for map 1. Oh my, there's the substitute. Coach Aim, Analyst Aim, he is here to play. EJ is going to start off map number 3 with the opening duel. He is quite a wizard playing these flex roles, and it seems like he knows exactly where to send his buck shotguns to remove some of those pressures. Now, Nevo was playing over by Smoke Spot, one of the most important positions to be on a map. It's very predictable, and obviously EJ ran into that macro strategy perfectly.
Yeah, they've started to mince up that floor, make it that much harder at the moment. Exile was so focused on the floor, unfortunately only swings at the wrong time, but Sam and EJ respond with 2 more. Bone to find Sam, brings it back close, but EJ again, triple in the round, quad in the round. What a statement to be made coming into the first round of map 3. EJ, the substitute, the pinch hitter here, has gone absolutely off.
Well, that was quite an explosive way to start off map number 3. EJ has been recently a player. We said that he was warmed up beforehand, and he's clearly showing why he is not only a confident analyst, but still has the ability to play with the big boys. It seemed like Down2Earth was just playing a little bit too passive there. They were sitting in their bomb site, and Pryde just set up a 360-degree crossfire. They put them inside the kill box, and then all of a sudden, every single member from Pryde pulled the trigger, and you just saw the kill feed melt as Down2Earth members were just falling one by one until there was none of them left. A strong showing, and they're going to have to try to replicate this. Now, like we were saying before we went live with map number 3, this map can be very attacker-sided depending on how the attackers are playing, and today, it is looking like the series will be attacker-sided.
Well, it's the first round. We'll see just how the rest of Coastline plays here. We're going back to... Well, actually, no, sorry. It's downstairs. We're going to see double bars coming out, but it's a vertical extension coming out. No surprises there on this map. You want to be running someone over towards the top white stairs, have a bit of that verticality involved. Bone above the bomb site as well is going to be looking to pressure where he can. But, I mean... For the first 2 maps, it has largely been Down2Earth handing those losses to Pryde. The ones that were picked up by Pryde, they just played, their style of siege. It came together in the round, and they were just able to win their gunfights. This time round, EJ says, you know what? No, I'm taking this one away from you, and single-handedly walks in, absolutely murders 80% of the Down2Earth roster, and if he can carry on with that momentum, if he can carry on just giving it to Down2Earth, we could have a real series on our hands.
Pryde has set themselves up to enter from the Aqua side of the map, but remember, this is a double bar hold, and the defenders, instead of holding the hookah lounge, they've most likely expanded all the way over into kitchen, trying to make this bomb site as big and wide as possible. Now, if we saw the pulse available, it would be a great way at denying entry into that vertical play, because you can have that heart breach wall hack, and you can know exactly where the attackers are. You couple that with a well-placed Nitro Cell, and Pryde will be spinning. Well, you're going to have to rely on audio cues and potentially pre-made holes if you want to rely on that vertical Nitro strategy. Now, everything for Pryde is working out well until that Nitro Cell collects with the champion himself, EJ, falling off. Also, that utility from the skeleton key is so critical with vertical destruction. It is going to severely hurt Pryde as they continue to remove the ceiling away from Down2Earth.
Only is starting to open up the floor, starting to mince things up, but Novozo with an aggressive positioning onto Sauna might be able to run up those stairs outside Hookah and do some damage with that SMG-11, especially considering Dylan is now retreating down towards that position. You look at that just inside pool entrance. Oh, Spray as he ducks himself back into Sunrise. No idea how close they were to each other. Crafty finds Bone, takes the head off with that VO5. Losing the 416 carbine. It's a brilliant gun on the defense. You cannot lose out on that if you want to actually contest these defenses in Exile. You see the coverage that Down2Earth currently have. Novozo still looking to contest. Ducks himself back into pool. He's looking to recover from that position. Does he have any idea that there's someone just outside? If he swings now with a shotgun, it could all be over. The concussion lands on Novozo, stuns the two people outside. He gets one before being traded back, but that could have gone horrifically wrong for Pryde.
They have stopped the bleeding temporarily, but both these teams have an equal man count at 3 apiece. Diffuser going to have to work its way through the mudroom. Oni is separated on island. He's going to call for the extra help from the Lion scan, and Sam's going to start to put the bomb down. There's no answer whatsoever by Down2Earth, but his 2 members of Pryde are down but not out. Things are almost certainly going in favor of Down2Earth. Crafty looking in every possible direction. He's going for the sprint, getting shot from behind. He has no idea where he's going to die from. Yusuke gets credited with the kill. It was quite a rough few seconds there for the IGL himself, but I have to say, Pryde put themselves in a great position to win. They just weren't prepared for the crash from Down2Earth.
Yeah, that concussion went into pool entrance. I'm 90% sure that just smacked Novozo right in the face or tagged the doorway either way. But 3 players concussed from it. The shotgun connects with the chest of Dylan. He almost gets the kill onto Sam as well. But EJ going down first. We talked about the verticality of a map like Coastline. It's not nearly as significant as the likes of Cafe or Clubhouse, but on a bomb site like Double, you need to control the second floor. You need to open things up and threaten below. They weren't able to do that considering he went down early, but hey, it's 1-1 apiece. We're going to round number 3. It's kitchen service. We see that mirror, which has been let through the ban phase once again, coming out in the hands of Yusuke, and Yusuke has been a real threat. As much as Dylan in previous weeks has been that clutch king, that threat, if you let him find frags, chances are he'll find a few more. Yusuke has been much the same and not nearly as often relegated to that clutch situation.
I'm going to be curious to see where these mirrors are actually placed. Common wisdom says you put it between the 2 rotates between the bomb site, but also in professional play, we're seeing them placed upstairs in theaters so often. And it's really a test of a good team to deal with that mirror window. The way you take that control is you open up VIP and you send those bullets down range. Now, most professional players are electing to put the mirror window in the east most of this panel, where Exile was just reinforcing, but Yusuke has changed it up a little bit. That actually might work out pretty well for Down2Earth because they can't get gunned down from the VIP angle. The reason that VIP angle is so strong is, well, if you're sitting behind the mirror window, you're safe. But the moment you try to swing, you try to send a Nitro Cell down range, you will be obliterated.
Interesting setup for the mirror down on the bomb site itself. Cuts off that rotate between the 2 sites, so could definitely work against them if they get control of main lobby and security for the side of Pryde. But I mean, you get control of the second floor, you can make it very, very hard for Yusuke to do his job here at the moment. EJ again on that buck. Oh no, in the corner of 90. I mean, look, to contest here, Sam does know there's someone there. The shots came out. Reaching around to deal with the camera. EE1D is going to well and try to give away the position, and Bone's going to double back here. Might even look for the fight in through the Hall of Fame. But they're just dancing around here. It really is just this intricate dance of players. Can they figure out where their partner is, and if so, kill them? Because if not, I mean, that's a big disadvantage to be taken early on.
The attackers have now surrounded all of theater. and it's going to be on how Down to Earth wastes their time. Exile's going to fall. Bone's going to have to go for the swing. He's stun locked. He's being hit by Lions. EJ with a shotgun in hand. He loses his Lion, and Bone will be refragged by his teammate of Sam, who pushes in from behind. A great execute by Pryde, and utilizing their man advantage perfectly, trading out one by one. And now Down to Earth is going to find themselves at a -1 man disadvantage. They're going to answer that back with a quick Nitro Cell from Yusuke. It won't connect with his target at all, and more members of Pryde are starting to find the scoreboard. It's going to be on how Down to Earth, their last two components, are able to save this round. SMG 11 Bros verse 4.
Well, I mean, this is a different Pryde that we're seeing. EJ coming in has revitalized this team. They are controlling Coastline right now. Another Nitro Cell thrown by Kojin. Does not find a thing. Oni contesting with that R4C in hand. Sam pushing down to the courtyard. Sees one. Can he swing and find that frag? He has every idea that there is a player standing just outside that doorway. Sees the elbow. Sees the chest. Triple kill for Sam in round number 3. E1D. Navozo spotted. 4K overall. Sam coming in big on the entry this time around.
That is also concerning to me. Pryde was able to win this round in great fashion, but this is the second round that they've won based off 4Ks. Is it individual performance that is helping Pryde win this, or is it their strategy, how they're corralling defenders? It's hard to tell since we're early on in Coastline. And also, we just might be catching that Coastline flu, where it's just the attackers. They do have better weaponry, and even in close quarters and long range, they do have better optics, and they might just put themselves in better positions. Again, we're still trying to feel out and understand how this map is going to play. Hookah Lounge, which was lost by Down to Earth off that miraculous buck 4K by EJ, is going to be the bomb site that Down to Earth elects to bring out once again. They're going to have to learn from their lessons. They did a good job of expanding over to the master bedroom side, but where their hold started to fall was when they crashed back onto their true bomb site.
Well, I mean, that bomb site just... I honestly, I just think that Rockmaster Scott, the Dynamic 3, said it best. The roof is on fire. It's falling down around us, and, well, Pryde didn't need no water. They just let the mother burn. And that's exactly what happened. They just gunned them down, took the bomb site by force. And they are looking to carry it on, push us to map number 4, take us to Clubhouse before pushing for Oregon. And if they can carry this momentum throughout the rest of Coastline, I believe they can do it.
And again, just to build upon the point where I'm a little bit concerned about Pryde, Oni, and Dylan have yet to find the scoreboard. Oni has
That's because EJ's taken them all.
You're just saying Coach Aim is better, man? Is that where we're going with? He's a coach?
And just because he's a coach doesn't mean he can't play. It just means he wants to watch other people shoot.
I mean, he is the one that is making the majority of these strategies. This is actually a hot button topic that teams are talking about a lot. When you have a coach or an analyst step into the ring, is he going to have a full understanding of the strategies? Absolutely. Will he be able to communicate the strategies in IGL? Not necessarily. Sam will be the first casualty as he drops, but Exile will be droned out. But just to wrap up that point before the action continues, coaches in a server can be great, but he can never truly substitute for the role that he needs to step in. He can be a great mechanical player, and he might not be a true entry. He could be a great flex player, but he was not designed for that role. Somebody else was.
That might be the case, but who knows? At the moment, it's a one-man deficit here, and Oni's looking to push in, get himself involved, and so is Dylan. Cross-map pressure being mounted here continuously. With that 2.5 times scope, Crafty, in fact, there on the double window as well. The pressure is mounting for Down to Earth. These gunfights, they cannot avoid them indefinitely. So at some point or another, they're going to have to find themselves in the crosshair. Exile is downstairs, though, in office. Might be able to go for some sort of run out. Might be able to catch someone unawares. Is Dylan still there on the rappel? And Oni looks like... No, he's going to be rappelling up onto Aqua Balcony as well. Or does he go down to office? He can't quite make up his mind, and he will be. Exile is there. In fact, 2 players now looking to enter on the first floor. He has information on both of them, and Oni does take the gunfight, just swings in, clicks the head, and we're back at a 4-4.
Maybe this is a perfect opportunity to bring out a Vigil since they constantly are utilizing a Lion. Vigils can walk during the Lion scan since the Vigil gadgetry is used to shut down drones. Lion has a big giant drone. So that's how at least Rainbow Six Siege is synergized. A brilliant wide swing from Yusuke. He will collect Crafty, and all of those Lion scans have now been forfeit. It's going to put a lot of pressure on his teammates back. We're going to have to start to go swinging for the fences. EJ is going to post up on the big window. That's going to be prompted by a Nitro Cell to answer it back, trying to deal with that pressure. Yusuke in the stand-up. He finds another kill in this round. The bomb's going down. There's not enough cover fire until Oni pulls the trigger. Everybody's going for the dry peek, and just like that, Pryde puts the bomb down, but it doesn't matter. Down2Earth has 3 players alive and standing. Nebo gets a free defuse.
They do get it in the end, but the fact that the diffuser went down on Hookah is scary enough. They did do some real damage. Yes, they still lost it, but Pryde, they're going to be feeling comfortable. They know they can get in and get the control they need to get a plant down. But it also locks out Hookah Billiards for the next 2 rounds, so they're going to be forced elsewhere. This is where things could start to spiral out of control. If Pryde can pick up doubles, the bomb site they lost last time, if they can approach it and keep EJ alive, get that vertical control underway, it's still anyone's game here at the moment. And we do see that Oni has got on the board. Now it's just Dylan without a frag. And Sam and EJ, they're the ones leading the charge here, frags-wise. If they can get that vertical control, they could definitely get themselves this round as well.
And Billy, what again concerns me is the fact that Pryde was a roster that was designed and built upon hype and having good vibes and being friends. And maybe we're just not seeing that Pryde show up today. Obviously, with Salt quickly departing due to personal issues, is kind of at least departing this series, not the team. Is just a shine of what's going to come. You need to get back in that, let's have fun, let's win gunfights. And we've heard in interviews across the board from different teams, different rosters, when things don't go their way, they rely on their friendship and they just rely on enjoying Rainbow Six Siege, a game that they love and a game that they've put a plethora of hours into to perfect their craft. But as we were saying, Down2Earth has been able to win this bomb site before. It was because Pryde really never synchronized and pushed together as a roster. They're going to have to make that identification and change that up. Fortunately for them, in round 4, they did a great job of clearing the offsite pressure. They just need to reverse engineer it and apply that here to double bar.
Well, they are droning rather cleanly. Oni is trying to get himself up into Aqua, trying to get in above the bomb site with as much control as they can possibly muster at this stage. EJ, though, is going to be the linchpin of this. If they can get him in, if they can get him starting up with that skeleton key, could make it that much harder to hold. We see the mirror subbed out here. They're not going to be bringing it again, given just how well it was dealt with in the previous attempt on this bomb site. Actually, sorry, no, I'm thinking kitchen. Never mind, I'm totally wrong. It's double buzz. They were off-site. They were roaming. Exile is going to be there again. Oh, he loses out the gunfight. Oni, with a sliver of health, claps back and says, "Don't scare me again. I got you, buddy." Exile is relegated to cams for the next 2 minutes, and even he is surprised.
Incredible showing of mechanical skill. And I have to say, Down2Earth did exactly what I wanted them. They brought out the Vigil, and Vigil has now been slammed into absolute oblivion. This is going to put extra pressure on the 4 remaining members of Down2Earth who are throughout the entire map. They've expanded their double bars over into kitchen. They have the nitro cells to be successful. Actually, only a single one of them that is going to be on the back pocket of Yusuke. And you can hear that buck skeleton key just chiming away, constantly sending lead down range. They want to remove as much of the ceiling over in the pink bar as possible. If you can open it up enough, that will basically mean the defenders won't be able to sit pretty in their bunker strategies. They won't be able to deny the default plan, and you as an attacker should be able to work your way to the bomb site with less pressure.
There's still a minute left to play. Still vertical control there, and Oni going to be walking his way down to pull entrance, which was a disaster of a spot before, but Dylan does catch up the Roma and Pryde for Down2Earth. It's Bone, found at the bottom of White Stairs. 416 off EE1D does go out, and every time that drone goes off, that's more positional advantage that Pryde can gain. Breaching charge in, stun. Navozo is it about to be at a world of hurt, but they decide better of it for the moment. EJ does go down to Kojin with that older 556. Crafty is in. Could look to do some big damage with that BO5. Just spraying over towards the couch. They're going toe-to-toe. Two machine guns just chiming at each other. Kojin is tagged, so he could be in for a world of hurt. And there we go, pushing down cool vibes. It's Sam. He's looking for more. The player swings out. He does get the down, but Oni's there on the Yusuke. Finds the second on a sliver of health. 3K. Oni putting in the hard yards here to keep his team in this series.
And remember, Oni was one of those players that we were critical of earlier who hadn't found the scoreboard as of yet. And when his team needed him the most, he not only finds a scoreboard, but he starts to win gunfights. His level of mechanical skill was so oppressive, it has prompted Exile as well as everybody on Down2Earth to ask for a technical timeout. It seems like admin is going to wait and process this before they make the decision on whether or not it is legal. But again, that's going to come down to the teams and whether or not they, or at least the production side and admin side, if it isn't approved as requested.
Yeah, I mean, hey, those of you that are fans of our casting lineup, Jazzman, one of the talented casters here at SCS, did a bit of a, a tier list of different names in the community, and one of the tiers on that list was, how did you lose a one to blank? And I mean, that was the question thrown in right there. How did you lose in one to Oni on 1 point of health and lose the round? Chief, there is one thing that has become painfully evident to me in the last couple of rounds. Have you heard it?
Well, I'm still reeling about the tier list that you brought up. You reminded me of it, so.
Yeah, I don't talk about that. My rating wasn't great. But have you heard it in the last couple of rounds? Because I sure as hell haven't. Down2Earth have been very quiet in all chat.
That is true, but in their defense, at the first 6 rounds, they don't really talk the talk, or they don't talk at all in all chat. It's once they start to have a mounting lead, and it usually tends to be when they're on defense and they're just running up the scoreboard. But they might not talk until they're on attack, since coastline can be considered attacker sided. The thing with coastline is we just don't really know what we're going to expect. And actually, if we use Storm competitive, statistics, the best bombs on this map with a 74% win rate, well, that was double bars. We've seen Down2Earth win it once before, but when they attempted the second time, we see a great entry by Oni, and Pryde ends up taking that round.
I mean, the difference is evident. I don't know what was going on with Salt. I hope the guy's all right. I hope that's something that the team can work through as a whole. But EJ stepping in, it's a breath of fresh air. These guys are just clicking together. They're gelling. You talked about how this is a team built on friendship. They want to be having a good time. They want to be backing each other. And that is what we're seeing here. The confidence level for one has gone up. They're going in, taking their gunfights and winning them this time around. Sam, he's found a 4K in round number 3. In fact, they've had multiple multi-frags overall for the team. This is what you want to be seeing. If you are a Pryde fan, this is a good sign, but they're not out of the clear yet. They're still down 2 maps. There's still 3 more potentially to be played. So you want to keep backing them. You want to, cheer your boys on and see them through to map number 4.
And just to show you the damage that Pryde has done in map 3, I mean, there has been no technical timeouts until now. Down2Earth was prompted into this. So this shows that they're a little bit nervous on what Pryde is bringing. And In Control Nation, at least the original iteration, has been a roster that has been known for saving maps, hiding maps that they're incredibly good at. Where this all started was back in Season 3 of SEL, and ironically, it was against Kojin on the Unreal Nightmare squad, and Dash and the current, or that at that time, In Control Nation, they were saving Cafe. They had never played Cafe before. They brought it out for the first time in the grand finals, and they 7-0'd their opponents of Unreal Nightmare. It was a slaughter fest. Unreal Nightmare at the time had Teams as a coach, and he was great at VOD reviewing and creating counter strategies, and you can't counter strat a map that you've never seen. What concerns me today about Down2Earth, they've tried to bring back that legacy. They have never showed Coastline throughout SCS. And then in our previous play day, back in the semifinals, Down2Earth brings out Coastline against Emergence, and they go into one of the longest games of overtime ever recorded. And it seems like that storyline is going to repeat. They've worked so hard to save this map, and it just seems to be a map that they're not that comfortable on. And Yusuke falling early on kind of continues that storyline.
My lord, it's not stopping now. The Pryde train is in full swing. EJ is on the bomb site. He is clearing them out. In fact, no defenders currently in kitchen at the moment. Next, I'll get 2 at the very least, and a third as Crafty pushes in the main lobby. So as much as the aggression was there, it's gonna be shut down as much as possible. But Sam, with yet another multi-kill on the same bomb site, somehow we see a round that is the quickest round we've had so far in the grand finals.
That was a roller coaster of a round 6. That lasted for about 3 seconds. And we just see, well, Pryde enter the building. They slaughter members of Down2Earth. Down2Earth is like, oh crap, we probably need to get back to our bomb site. They proceed to slaughter members of Pryde, but the damage has already been done. The defenders turned into the attackers, and the problem is when you're a defender that has miraculously evolved into attacker, you don't have the attacker better weaponry, and you also don't have the ability of going outside without being pinged after 1 second. So they have to push to the fatal funnels, and they lose their lives. And you know, Billy, there's some irony about the strategy that we're about to see from Pryde. EJ is known for one particular strategy that he loves to utilize. It doesn't matter what map this man is on, he brings out Frosts. He makes every one of his teammates play Frost as the head analyst. Now it's his turn to suffer as he brings out the Frost. I can't say suffer because the SMG-11, or not the SMG that he has, the pocket shotgun, are actually solid guns.
Well, I mean, it's a situation where cooler heads prevail, and honestly, I couldn't think of anyone with a cooler head than Frost. Look, hey, if it's something that you could bring to the table that will, one, undermine the confidence of your opponents, it's an unexpected factor in these matchups, go for it. Commit 100%. And the rest of the team, yes, the frags aren't flowing as much for Crafty and Dylan, but you look at that, EJ, Oni, Sam, they are all sitting above 5. They have 22 kills collectively between them. And they are ready to try and take this Exiles drone. Might spot out Sam here at top white, but it's Bone to open things up onto Oni. Very aggressive pick all the way into Sunrise window. And oh boy, words are being exchanged.
I mean, I would have probably said the same thing, but a little bit more tactfully. You should not be utilizing that spawn peak anymore. As soon as the barricades changed how they interacted, that spawn peak basically became absolutely useless. It's so common that even now, if you're not free-firing that one window, you're still kind of tossing around. EJ for an analyst has some great mechanical skill. He's going to get very aggressive. He's going to call for additional help. Crafty's going to lose his life. And now EJ's stuck on an island. He's now down. And there's one member of Pryde left. It is Dylan. He has an SMG-11 in hand. He is known. His bullets whiz over his head. Somebody check this man's moss. He gets a headshot through the wall. A perfect refrag. But it's not going to be quite enough as he's still in an awkward position, loses his life to Big Window. That round only took 70 seconds, but Down2Earth bulldozed their way into a victory.
Okay, it was an unconventional strategy, so maybe not the strongest defense that we are going to see out of Pryde, but look, name a more iconic duo than Dylan in a 1vx situation.
Yikes.
EJ, he's going to commit to it. He's going to bring the Frost once again as we head to Hookability. You've got to anticipate that Oni probably won't go for the same attempt onto the spawn peak, but who am I? I'm not a pro player. I'm not going to tell him how to live his life or play Rainbow Six Siege, even though I probably wouldn't have done that. Mostly because I'm not confident enough to go for a spawn peak like that. I'm just going to sit in the corner with a shotgun and do my job. But going into round number 8, it's 4-3 Chief. This is a situation that Pryde, unfortunately, have not been able to close out. They have not been able to get to 6. They have not been able to push for overtime. They have not been able to win a map yet. But here, they have that advantage going into the half. If they can win this round as well, that brings them that much closer to taking us to Clubhouse. And I think that round was a little disingenuous of what they're going to be bringing to the table because, I mean, one spawn peeking like that, you talked about it, how it's no longer that relevant in the competitive scene. EJ and Crafty pinching onto the same player in Hall of Fame without knowing that there was someone outside on the balcony as well. So this time, I would imagine we're probably going to see a much more level-headed approach to this defense.
Now, in Pryde's defense, the last time we were here when Down2Earth was playing Emergence, far too many times, Down2Earth players were spawn peeked from by just about every single available window, and they fell for it every single time. So I could understand where Pryde was coming from, but again, you have a Dash on the roster of Down2Earth that is the coach. He will learn from his lessons, and he will make sure that doesn't happen again. EJ still putting his frost mats out over by L. That is a unique place of putting it. He's trying to prompt the attacker's vault. It could work out pretty well, but I think Exile has just droned it out. So the frost mats just come down to the opportunity cost of utility, and what else would you be bringing instead of the frost? Well, you could be bringing a Mozzie, for example. So not sure if I'm the biggest fan, but also Frost is just a fun operator, and the motif of Pryde is to have fun after all.
Well, let's see if fun is going to be enough to get them that win as EJ's jiggling around the shield. I mean, I've been having a lot of fun with Frost on the new stadium game mode. Definitely been putting those bear traps in some unconventional places. But Crafty finds the first onto Exile, and even Crafty's surprised that he got that kill in the end. Running the MP5 on the mute, not something you see all too often, and taking the line off the board early is a good kill to find EJ aggressively walking up towards Hall of Fame. There's two players in there, Navozo and Yusuke. If they have any idea, Yusuke does. He wins the gunfight and the follow-up onto Sam. So back in a man advantage in favor of Down2Earth, and it's Dylan and Crafty with the help of Oni to hold out. Oni goes to the Nitro, can't find it, which means Crafty has the only one left. Chief, again, if they lose this round, it's even up, and Down2Earth, we've seen what they can do. Denying that 6th round, Oni finds Bone. It's getting close.
This round seems to be being tossed by everybody in this lobby. Missed shots. Yusuke has been perfect on his mechanical skill. A rare miss, and it's cost him his life. And now there's 2 remaining members for each one of these rosters. Novozo, as well as Kojin, 2 LMGs. Oh, it's just a lame F2 for Nevo. Unfortunate. It would have been nice to see the double M249 saws being played. Sadly, that will not be the case. But nonetheless, the attackers are going to have to push together. They have the diffuser in hand, and they also have plenty of utility. Kojin still has those smoke bolts as well as those fire bolts, and Dylan still has 2 of his traditional toxic babes. Oh, and he's going to lose his life on bad positioning, and now what's Dylan? Stuck in another 1vx. He seems to love this position, but nobody from Down2Earth exactly knows where he is. He's hiding over by the pink couches, and Navozo, with the assault rifle, is able to win it. Down2Earth starting to win more and more rounds on attack.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sam's mouse, the slide pad's just coming off, so he might have to take a second to sort them out. Unfortunate, as he has been such a key fragger in the team, so they will have to take some time and sort it out. Chief, those last 2 rounds, not quite the level that we've seen from Pryde on the attack. You've got to wonder if maybe the prioritization of these strategies on the defense is working against them. Yes, Frost is great in certain situations. Yes, you can run strategies like they are in certain situations, but we saw Hookah 2 rounds in a row, exact same setup both times, and they lost it both times.
You know, Billy, I feel like I have some responsibility with that Frost play. I may or may not have said something to both EJ and Grave that they should be running Frost every single round that they have it available. And surprising, EJ, when he hops in the server, he goes to defense, and all of a sudden it's Frost. Now, in my defense, I also asked for a few additional operators, but I won't tease that. We'll have to see if that strategy comes out, but it seems like the fun vibes, dare I refer to it as the cool vibes, that Pryde is known for is just starting to have them decorate.
Well, look, there's a lot of things that has been going right for Pryde in this map. They've been winning the gunfight. Sam has been playing with an unparalleled level of confidence that we have yet to see so far in this grand finals from him. Unfortunately, his mouse issues could hamper that a little bit, so hopefully they do resolve that so that he can keep fragging out like the way he has been. Oni as well, I mean, it has been hit or miss for him so far. I mean, crazily enough, given that I think he had the highest rating for the team throughout the regular season, so there's no reason we should have been sleeping on him, but he's come on, he's starting to fire. Dylan is there as well, wasn't able to win that 1vx. The team is there. They're playing on a much more even playing field than they have been, which is good to see.
Now, imagine that you're so good at the game, your hand is so hot that you break your mouse. I honestly can't relate to that.
I've seen it a couple of times. I have. You got those guys who just consistently pull out the insane flicks, and sometimes, yeah, look, unfortunate. The first casualty of esports is always peripherals.
Yeah, that's true.
And time and other commitments and relations. Actually, no, there's a whole lot of casualties. But yeah, we are just getting confirmation. We are going back into it. So hopefully Sam has resolved those issues, because without him, it could all come apart here. And this is it. If they lose here, they are second place in SCS Season 4. And I mean, look, that's not a feeling you want. You've worked so hard to get to this point. The improvements have been leaps and bounds, and Frost is coming out again.
Hey man, say it with a smile on your face a little bit. Frost is fun. I mean, the thing is, how often do you see Frost? And actually, we see a lot more Frost in professional play, simply because she allows you to mix up your operator lineup. We are very rigid on the lineup that we bring. We have to bring one SMG-11 bro, because the destruction of that shotgun is so powerful. But if you can start to bring out different operators like that Frost, it allows you to have an actual submachine gun as a primary weapon. You can bring out that secondary shotgun, which is just as good as any of the primary shotguns, and you also still get a deployable shield. I mean, that is a lot of utility to be had, and you can, again, go away from the traditional level of lineup. And also, speaking about leaving traditional lineups, we're going to see the alibi in play. This is actually an operator I'm a big fan of, particularly here on Coastline. There's a lot of very common pre-fire locations the attacker is going to have to shoot. And if you put an alibi in the right position, you're going to get yourself 4 seconds of free information. And if you're a particularly cutting defender, you can actually wind swing and get free kills with those alibi prismas.
So, Chief, how often in a round of Rainbow Six Siege do you see 3 deployable shields on the board and none of them are Vulcans?
Back in Utility Consumption Simulator, quite frequently. Now, away from Utility Consumption Simulator, not so much.
Yeah, it's not a very frequently seen sight, but neither is Crafty finding the frag, but he does it anyway. He finds that kill onto Yusuke early on. Another key frag taken off the board that could spell success for Pryde if they to transition and start expanding that advantage. Cogent, at the moment, is in Sunroom. There is a bit of a stand. Oh no! How has Sam lost that? Crouching in under the sights. Still goes down anyway, unfortunately, so man count will be evened up pretty much immediately. But, I mean, a Jaeger versus an Ash, I think you'd take that if you're Pryde.
Oh, absolutely. Those 3 breaching launchers from Yusuke are going to be critical, especially on the vertical destruction, because she has also the non-range breaching launchers, the one that you place flat on the floor. It is critical to start to remove the ceiling away from those defenders. But more and more members are being locked away by Down2Earth. And another strong operator that can participate in the ceiling removing simulator, Novozo, on that gridlock, who also has a pocket shotgun, is so crucial. Now, Exile is very afraid that there's going to be somebody dropping the hatch above him. They're only a few meters away, but EJ knows there's a Claymore there. His life is going to be forfeit unless he pulls a miraculous play on that drop. The likelihood of that happening is not a lot, unless he gets some rotation over by the main lobby.
I mean, if he pulls it off, it did be a clip that gets submitted to FaZe Clan for an application, because he was going to have to pull something nutty if he did pull it off, but no, they've decided better of it. Does push down, but Exile is there. Oni hits the dirt as well in main lobby. So it is a 2 versus 3. Dylan and Crafty. Crafty does go down to Cogent. So again, it's Dylan in the clutch. Can he do it? No. Exile finds the head, shuts it down. And And that's 3 rounds in a row now for Down2Earth as they regain that round lead and are now 2 rounds away from being crowned Season 4 champions.
So Down to Earth has a problem establishing an initial foothold in the building. They struggle to get to the building and they struggle to get to the first buff room. But as soon as they have control of the map, they start to systematically remove every single component of Pryde. And the component that they're targeting isn't necessarily their utility. They're leaving the deployable shields up. Instead, they're breaking down the defenders on their roams. And before we even started Coastline, we said it is imperative that if you're a defender, you are roaming with a buddy system. You have one of your teammates near enough where you can simultaneously challenge the same angle. But Pryde isn't doing that lesson. Instead, they're playing as utter individuals with no one anywhere close to each other. And with a member of Pryde dropping, it's just a free kill for Down to Earth because they know that they're not going to be pressured from elsewhere. Pryde needs to do a tandem roam.
Yeah, well, we see a bit of a change. We aren't going to be getting Frost here in round number 10. It's going to be a Vigil instead. You talked about just how good this Vigil is in countering a Lion pick. And, well, Oni has been the one finding a good number of the frags here with a K1A. Could look to do the same. As we do head over towards Kitchen. Crafty, again, in double bars downstairs at the moment. The roam is there. In fact, it's a heavy roam set up for Pryde. A lot of vertical pressure. A lot of horizontal pressure as well. So we'll see if they can transition that into some big frags. Because if they can, they could even things up again. Look to push for the win. And there is so much on the line here. Not just, you know, the right to call yourself the champions of Season 4. But there is a cash prize as well.
I have to say, I love this Dark Zero skin. And hopefully it blesses Crafty's aim as he ables to line up members of Down to Earth as they start to push through the mudroom. But also, Down to Earth has another push that they're trying to utilize. They're trying to push vertically. They're trying to get as much map real estate control as quickly as possible. And they've been pretty good in that endeavor. I do like the fact that Pryde has opened up all the quad wall over by the blue bar. Crafty's gonna be pushed away from the pink bar. And Oni, on a brilliant flick, murders poor Kojin. And one of your best supporting operators has now been found. But more importantly, the diffuser is stuck over on Office's side.
Even Kojin is a little upset by that. Oni, again, somehow walks away with a sliver of health. Last time he did this, it was on attack. And he found 2 more after the fact on Ash. Unfortunately, Exile isn't going to give them the chance to do it here on the defense. So we're back at a 4 versus 4. No one capable of evading that EE1D. Going to be running around just yet. The diffuser, though, still out of the hands of Down2Earth. And that's valuable time that they will now need to commit to picking it up and looking to transition it over towards that bomb site. Minute 20 on the clock. Exile upstairs, just on the hunt. Goes for a quick flick onto the luggage window. Does he have any idea that there are players in the proximity, but doesn't seem to. Sam rotating round to luggage now, where those shots were heading towards. And just pressure all over the map here being established by Down2Earth, but unfortunately it's the spread that can work against them. Yusuke goes down, but there's no trade potential. And as a result, Sam and EJ will continue that roam of terror. Crafty now in main lobby. They have so many bases covered here, Chief, and I don't know. Can they look to bring it back? Can Down2Earth contest this? And it seems that maybe, yes, you know, as they get one but lose another. EE1D goes out, the final one available to them. And there's still 3 players for Pryde remaining.
The thing is, Down to Earth stopped playing as a cohesive unit. They started to play as individuals. They're not prepared for the push into square, but somehow a flick from Down to Earth will be good enough. It's now a 2-2, but members of Down to Earth are now going to start to crumble. It's all on Novozo. He gets an attempt on the flick, but he's stuck in the smoke. He has nowhere to go, and Dylan is going to keep his team alive. Round 10 is going to tie things up. We are going to be guaranteed to see round 12 as we enter in the penultimate round. It's starting to look very attacker-sided, but Pryde is going to apply the brakes to the Down2Earth hype vehicle as quickly as possible.
The chat coming now the other way. It's EJ who has been vocal since entering the server. Just giving him the chat, saying, who are you peeking? And we're going to be heading up to Hookah Billiards. Yes, there you go. Look at it. Just Pryde definitely stepping into the momentum here and looking to coast it over the finish line. Hookah Billiards making its way through again. Chief, if they win this in the next round, we head to Clubhouse. They get a bit of a reprieve. If they lose the next 2 rounds, it's all over for them. The stakes have not at all been higher in Season 4.
The thing about this is Pryde has predicted that it's most likely going to go to a 3-1 split for the overall map. And it might actually start to go that way, as we see Pryde has a good understanding of the aggression level of Coastline. Now, in Pryde's defense, this is their map pick, so you would expect them to be better on it. But again, Down2Earth was a roster that was saving this map. They wanted to bring it out in the finals or the semifinals because they thought they were extremely strong in this map. But they've been shown that they can bleed, particularly here. They're going to have to change up how they execute, and they're going to have to get back into that mindset where they were in round 9, where they played together as a cohesive unit, and they systematically removed every single defender. In round 10, that was absent.
Well, round number 11. Second to last of regulation time. Whoever pushes it and wins this round has that little bit of extra security. Bone pushing into Sunrise downstairs. There is a player close. Craft. He goes for the swing. Loses the fight. So Bone taking out the mute. Nitro cell gone. It's a bit rough, but not the biggest loss just yet. There's still players that are capable of fragging. As we get closer, deeper into this round, the roam is for Pryde. By trying to get in position, trying to affect some real change, trying to use that information, but they just can't land at the moment.
I was so confused when I was seeing up the ceiling. I thought somehow the lion scan was grabbing one of the attackers, but one of the attacking members of Down2Earth actually shot one of the alibi prismas. EJ was very close to getting a kill, and he knows that White Widow is going to be a very important rotation for him, and that's why he's going to try to challenge that window for as long as possible, because the attackers have a solidified control. Good luck defending it. He's actually relocated altogether. Now going to be tasked with holding the 90, but he's a solo player on the roam. More members of Pryde are going to be dry peeking straight into Bone. That's going to feed him into a double kill. EJ has been misdroned. He's going to be allowed to persist a little bit more over here at 90 as utility's starting to be zapped away, but he's going to keep his gun up. That drone has confirmed him, and he's going to be forced to rotate over to Hookah, but he has his own reverse Uno card in his back pocket. He is now gone through Cool Vibes by Square.
Sam looking to peek all the way onto Hookah Balcony, Aqua Balcony, sorry, as there's 2 players out there. The drones are coming in cogent. Tagged in the shoulder, as he was just mid-reload on his M249. The pressure certainly is mounting, final 50 seconds, but it's a 3 versus 5 here as Bone walks up Hookah, looking to pressure into one of the 2 bomb sites. EJ just trying to jiggle peek with that MX4 Storm. Has the shield, so some defense still in there as well. And it will be EJ to go down. M249 connecting. The pressure is just too much, it seems. Cogent finds a double. It's all on Dylan in a 1v5. He's been tagged. He's been dealt with. Bone with his 3rd kill of the round. Down2Earth, a flawless round win to push themselves to map series grand final point here. And if they lose the next one, it's all over.
Round 11 could be buried in the books as the true penultimate round. Down2Earth is 3 minutes away from achieving the grand prize of $1,200. And it really doesn't matter what level of player you are, that is still a lot of money. And the Frost is going to be out again. She's going to be this constant operator being deployable shields, but it seems like Down2Earth isn't stopped by deployable shields. And it comes down to the aggression level that Pryde has when they're playing the shield. Constantly, Pryde gets droned behind a shield and they're like, yikes, and just rotate away. They don't play the shield. And we've heard it from Troy Canadian, a professional player. When Bolo is playing behind a deployable shield, he will slam you. The reason that is the case is because Bolo is actively gathering information from the slits of the shield, and he stands his ground. He stands up, does some weird jiggle peek, and then obliterates you. Pryde, they just aren't utilizing their utility appropriately.
Well, this could all be over. within the next 3 minutes here, Chief. And the only thing that I can say is if you are at home, if you are a Pryde fan, send them your energy because they need it. I don't care where you are, stand up, give them a yell, give them your support because otherwise the entire season could be over soon. Defense downstairs in double bar. They've got themselves geared up, ready to go. Crafty this time is picking up the mantle of the Frost, and EJ will be playing the Mute instead. They've brought a mirror, so a vast change up from how things have been. And Crafty still has yet to put his final bear trap down and his final his shield, not his final shield, his only shield. So still some late preparations being made.
So that's actually something that we've seen throughout these Frost plays. They're putting those Frost mats down about with 1 minute expiring in the round. The reason for that is they don't want the Frost mats to be droned. The attackers are sitting their drones throughout the map. And if you say, oh, the coast is clear on your primary drone, you're less likely to look in those corners where there might be a bear trap absolutely waiting for you. BO2 has a great drone spot. He's identified that there are some bullet holes on the backside of Penthouse. Nobody is going to be in the receiving end of those pre-fires, and now Down2Earth has control of the top floor of the map. But remember, this is a double bars defense. They're going to need a little bit more control, and the control is going to start off with EJ, the analyst, starting to fall.
Losing out on the Mute early. That's going to be rough, and EJ has slowed down a little bit in terms of the all chat. 4 versus 5, hopes and dreams of Pryde riding on this round. If they can get to OT, they can then look to push for another map. Otherwise, they are going to be finished up and probably a little bit dejected. Dylan swinging into pool entrance does find Exile. Lion gone means they have a little bit more freedom to move. Cogent will be throwing in some asphyxiating bolts, trying to flush Dylan out of that position. He will be flushed out. He's going to be sprayed. It's Bone from above the vertical angle, which is where EJ was punished from not too long ago. And this flank could be absolutely huge. Sam could really upset things, but he's going to be the victim of a spray in the hands of Yusuke. Not quite sure where to go. It's going to be an absolute slam from Navozo, who's in pool entrance. It's looking a bit bleak here. Oni now trying to do what he can. But Chief, it's a 2 versus 4. Oni goes down. Bone with a triple. It's looking like it might all be over. Crafty. That's a big one to win, and unfortunately he can't. There you go. Season 4 champions for SCS are going to be Down2Earth as they take the series 3-0.
In Control Nation, now known as Down2Earth, was one of the favorites to be the victor in the grand finals. Today, they will actually confirm that accolade, and they can put it on their trophy shelf, as well as the $1,200 that they worked hard to achieve. Many members of this roster have been able to win championships before. They've been able to win prize pools before, but never as a cohesive unit, never together as a team. And today, they will actually achieve that. Congratulations to Down2Earth and to Pryde. You guys played well. You had some hardships. You had some problems with your teammates. You had some things going on, but they definitely deserve to be here in this grand finals. They put on a true show, but nobody was able to topple Dash and the boys.
3 7-5s in succession as they ran through Villa, Theme Park, and Coastline and take it in the end. Unfortunate at the end of the day, but hey, there's always more to look forward to. Chief, it was a series. Keg, welcome back.
Hello. Oh man, season 4's over. That's it. We've come all this way, and now we see Down2Earth as the winners, beating over Pryde at the very, very end. I thought we were going to go see all 5 maps, but we only got to 3, and I mean, Coastline and Theme, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, unfortunate we didn't see overtime. It was all regulation time for all 3 maps. But yeah, there was definitely some very, very highlightable plays.
Absolutely. I mean, it was just really cool to see, especially EJ coming in immediately getting a 4K on Coastline. That was really cool to see. And, you know, Pryde, we got to give credit to them. They were able to rack together these really crazy quad kills so many different times.
And I think it's important to note, everybody thought it'd be Lycus Empire, as well as the Wichita Wolves and In Control Nation at the time. Those were going to be the 3 rosters. going into grand finals. You can bet on every single one of them. But postseason did not go as planned. Emergence had a phenomenal run. But the team that had an even better run in postseason, that was Pryde. They fought hard to get here. They hit the disband button because they sent one of those big boy rosters straight to the grave. And the same thing can be said for Emergence. They also hit that disband button, and they sent one of the best teams in T3 also to the disband rubbish bin. So phenomenal showing today. And Pryde, they have to keep their heads up. They did a phenomenal job.
But I do believe we have an interview coming up now. Let's see straight from the horse's mouth. What's going on with Down2Earth? How did they come to this victorious place that we call the Grand Championships? Exile, welcome back.
Hey Max, I got my water.
Oh yeah, hold on, I got you. Got mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got a few questions for you, man. I mean, first of all, congratulations. You made it the Grand Champs of SCS Season 4. How do you feel right off the rip?
I feel pretty good, you know. I'm kind of sad that I didn't get to play Sledge at all, but, you know, that sucks. My team showed up. I didn't have to show up as the Sledge, so that's really nice. Yeah, it feels good. It feels good to win.
So my biggest question coming out of all of this, right, was the map picks. Now, I'm not a Down2Earthologist. I know some other casters here are, but we saw Theme Park and Coastline back to back. Walk us through the process, because I know you guys didn't choose all the maps, but I'm really wondering what your team was thinking as you had to encounter those two maps on the ban feed.
So with the map bans, like the only work we did on Pryde was what they're gonna ban. So we pretty much expected what they were gonna ban and pick throughout the map ban phase, but with Theme Park and like Coast, like we knew that they did their homework on us for that. Like we knew they were gonna try and counter strat us, and I knew that like from the get go. Like when we were playing EMG, like when we went, I'm like, okay, they're just gonna counter strat us on Theme. And so like basically, I just called like default strats. Excuse my French.
Good save.
We just really called default strats for the entire game, and it worked. We didn't really do any of our old stuff that they've seen. It was basically just stuff you'd run in ranked sometimes. So yeah, that was map ban phase was pretty easy to get through.
Fair enough. And I mean, even then, you're not running the same strats that normally, you know, teams like Pryde would have seen before, but they still gave your team a run for your money. 7-5, I believe, on 2 different maps, and even then some other different score lines. They still had a lot of potential behind them. But what really gave you guys on Down2Earth the edge over Pryde in those 3 maps?
Honestly, I think it's just that we're just a better team than them. They have a lot of players that'll just run at you and shoot you, and they'll kind of go for hero plays. And we knew that going into it, that it's like Sam and Salt that does it, and Salt did it for the second round on Villa, and then we shut him down for the rest of the game. And Sam, well, he was able to run around free because we didn't really care for one player, and that's kind of our mistake. Yeah, that's really, I think the main thing is just like they would take as many gunfights as they could, and we were expecting it, but we weren't that good at handling it. So
fair enough. But let's talk about Salt and how it was kind of a transition over to EJ going into Coastline. EJ right off the rip showed up with a 4K, which was really cool for us to see. But was there any moments of doubt in Coastline that maybe you guys would have to go to a 4th map?
No, not at all. We were expecting them to pick Coastline, and we weren't going to run any strats that we did against EMG on Coastline. And then they banned the Pulse, which was the only thing we used for lobby on one strat. And then they banned Sledge. Like, I love the guys on Pryde. Like, it was all banter, but like, why do you ban Sledge on Coast when you watched, what, a 24-round game of me not playing Sledge at all? I don't get it. I don't get it. But, I mean, we expected it to be 3 maps. I mean, I wanted to at least see them win a map, but they didn't. Yeah, that's kind of sad for me. But, yeah, they're a good team.
But with the
they deserve to be in the finals.
transition, fair enough. Yeah, no, they definitely deserve to be in the finals, and they did a great job. But bringing on a new player at the very end, and that player getting a huge quad kill, was there any moments of doubt from there that maybe having a switch up of the roster would have been going to that 4th map?
I think we just had to sort of change our play style because we were able, like, he didn't go for like hero plays. He just played with his team, And I hate to I don't like talking like bad about Salt, but like he didn't really play with his team. He would just go for like clips, I guess. But EJ actually like played with his team and he had fun. So I don't think there was any sign of doubt at all, but I do think we just had to change it up a little bit.
If you had the option, though, what other team in all of SCS so far would you want to have gone up against in the grand finals?
Emergence, 100% Emergence.
Ooh.
That
You think
would
we'll
have been
see that
so
next season?
I mean, if Aerial Arise quals and they put Gunner back on his Buck sledge rolls, then I think we'll see Aerial Arise in finals, and maybe we'll be in finals. I don't know by then, but I think I would have liked to see EMG in finals because like I consider the semifinal game the finals game. That to me was so much more competitive for us than it was for today's game, and it's it's rough to say that, but you just have to look at how the game went out on the semifinal game too, and it was a really fun game. But I had fun playing too today. Just I didn't get to play Sledge, and that was really rough.
But hey, maybe you can play Sledge on Down to Earth in Season 5. But speaking of Season 5, though, Exile, what's Down to Earth's plans for Season 5? Are we going to see maybe another Grand Finals with you in there, or I don't know?
I mean, I hope so. Another Grand Finals in SCS would be really cool because I shout out to Ferme and Rigel and everyone on SCS because this league is it's getting better and better and better, and Season 5 is going to be the league that you want to be in. So, because we're in it.
Sounds
too.
like you. Ooh, so it looks like we are having Down to Earth maybe confirmed for Season 5.
Yeah, I think we'll be there because we auto qual.
Well, guess what?
So
That's right, you auto qual, so you have to be there. But with
Mhm.
all that being said and done, though, Exile, you guys are the grand champions for Season 4 of SCS. You guys have gone through the trials, quite literally all the tribulations coming up so far. What do you have to say to your audience? What do you have to say to your friends? And what do you have to say to your enemies?
I just want to thank again D2E and Mace, being our org owner and just letting us under this org. Shout out to my teammates Bone and Noah, especially, or Bone and Yusuke, because they did their job today, unlike Pryde, but they got their frags. So I didn't have to chip in like the EMG game. It made me very happy. I was relaxing. And then shout out obviously to Kojin, like people were doubting Kojin on Twitter the other day, and I was just like, they're just like, it's one game, like that ticked me off. And then you see him like drop double digits first map, like it made me smile to see him drop double digits, to be honest. And shout out to Nevo. I've been with him for like almost 10 months, maybe 11 months now, teaming with him. Great guy, nice eyebrows. Shout out to the Nut Hut boys. They know who they are. Shout out to Ferme for giving me my command. Awa awa. Hey Max, could I get an awa awa?
Awa awa.
Yeah, thanks Max. I like that. Thank you.
Just for you, man. Only because you won the Grand Champs. But Exile, where can we find you and of course your org and all of your teammates on social media?
All right, so I figured it out this time, Max, because I messed up some of the Twitters the other time in the interview. So we have
I'm ready.
Down2Earth Esports is D2E with another E Sports, I think. Okay, and then Bone is not Bone underscore R6. It's R6 _ Bone. Okay, that is Bones. And then Navozo's is Navozo R6. Kojin's is Kojin R6. Yusuke's is Yusuke R6, but with an X for U in the beginning. And then mine, so obviously it was Exile. It's right there. Oh, nope, wrong arm.
Oh.
Not good at this stuff. Right there.
It's all out
it
of
is.
10 though.
There's my Twitter.
I give it an A. Not like a 96 out of 100. I got
it was
you.
a little
Well,
off.
Exile, only a little bit off, but where you were off was your gameplay today. It was fantastic watching you guys go up against Pryde and coming out on top, and I cannot wait to see you guys auto-qualify for Season 5. But Exile, it was great interviewing you again, and I'm sure it's not the last time we'll be interviewing you either going into the next season.
I'm sure it's not. I mean, maybe I'll get dropped or something. Maybe I'll just leave, go out of this game. But I hope not. Who knows? Who knows?
We never know. what the future has in store. But Exile, again, thank you very much for being on to the interview here, the final interview of Season 4 for SCS. But we're going to be going back to the casters now and see what exactly happened with that Grand Finals and how Exile did such an amazing job. But first, I'm going to stop you guys right there. I do have a little bit of an announcement. We were giving away a free auto-qual pass for one team for Season 5. Now, casters, I'll be brutally honest, I don't know if you guys know, so I'm going to let you guys drum roll for me instead. That's right, drum roll! Drum roll!
I was the bass player. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I have
don't
no
know how you
musical
can
talent
bass.
whatsoever.
I don't either. Okay, but anyways, Project Neo will be the winner of the auto-qual pass for Season 5. They'll be automatically going through a little bit more. They have a bit of a lead over other people, but they're gonna need it if they want to make it through all the way to Season 5. It's gonna be a great thing to see coming out from Project Neo. They've had a fantastic run in the past, but now we have to see what they can do in the next season coming on up. But gentlemen, we just finished the Grand Finals. It's over. There's no more SCS Season 4.
Yeah, I hate to see it. You really do. Well, actually, I know I say that, but Season 5 is gearing up to be just as awesome, so it's a bittersweet moment. It really is.
But geez, I'm trying to remember when Season 5 starts.
February 3rd.
Oh, right, February 3rd. I knew there was something familiar about February 3rd, but no, hold on. There's another date in mind too. It's a second part. Oh, jeez. Panda, help me out here. What is it?
I know exactly what it is. It's February 9th because that's when the 6th Invitational starts.
Hey, wait a minute. No, it's the 10th, which is when the second auto qualifier starts. And that's just only going to lead into more and more awesome stuff. We're going to have quite a bit later after all the open and closed qualifiers. We're going to be having the actual season of SCS Season 5. I'm super excited to be a part of it. I'm super excited to be a part of it with Chief and Blue Panda as well. And if you want to sign up, you can always go to scsesports.com. Woo! Gentlemen, it has been a fantastic time working with you. It's been amazing to see all these wonderful viewers out there as well. Chief, do you have any last words for Season 4 as we close things out?
I just want to thank everybody in the back of production there. Ferme is amazing. Nash is amazing. All the stat analysts who are just crunching numbers. And we try to provide stats instantly when a game ends. So we have it in about a minute or two after the fact. Shout out to all of you. There's a ton of you that help. And all of our lovely observers. Henry is great. I just love everybody here at Storm Competitive Series. You guys are become, good friends of mine. You guys run the best league in T3, and I honestly just want to thank you guys for always, allowing me to cast here and putting up with my BS.
Yeah, I mean, largely the same sentiment here from what is it? It's 3:30 in the afternoon down here in New Zealand. It's not been quite as late as it is for you guys, but definitely something worth being involved in. Huge shout out to the players and all the teams involved. I know there's some guys behind the scenes that do a lot of work with the teams as well. Shout out to them who really just have stuck with the boys so far, given us such a great season. And I mean, I cannot express how excited I am to see what's coming in the next one.
And shout out to you guys for watching. All the teams, all the fans, and everybody who participates in Twitch chat. Honestly, if it wasn't for you, none of us would be here today.
That's a very good point, Chief. Without you guys, none of this would be possible. It has been amazing to be a show host and caster for Season 4, and going forwards, I can't wait to see what's in store for a better and awesomer season for SCS. But with that being said, my name has been Max Tompkins. I've been your host for these last few games. You can find me on Twitter at Keglanek, right down there. You can find Chief, of course, at Chief Gerthang on Twitter, and I believe Blue Panda is Blue Chief Casts. Thank you. I actually don't know your Twitters off the top of my head, but Blue Panda, I think yours is Blue Panda Casts.
Blue Panda _ casts.
Close enough.
There's more Blue Panda casters out there.
There are so many
No,
Blue Pandas out there.
I just went with that one. So yeah.
One Panda, two Panda, Red Panda, Blue Panda. But with that being said, we are done with Season 4. Stay tuned for Season 5, and we'll see you guys in only a few more days.